Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock, we're here to take you there. From superheroes to aliens in outer space, we've got the latest news and reviews in our embrace. Turn on your screen, let the neon lights glow. We'll take you back to the 80s. Let's rock and roll. Sci-Fi Center, where the legends come alive. Get ready to geek out, let your imagination fly. We're diving into the past with a touch of modern flair. Sci-Fi Center, the ultimate pop culture lair.
Happy Saturday, and it looks like we're starting things off in true StreamYard fashion, which means a fuck up because I don't know what's wrong with my relay and my notifications. Sounds all fucked up. I hope I got that fixed. And there seems to be like a small delay. StreamYard, if you're watching, don't be raising your prices and doing the shit that you've been doing the last 3 months. Welcome to the Saturday Overnight Live edition of the Sci-Fi Center Presents. Tonight's sort of a special night because with the release of Cineverses and, a whole bunch of other companies, and mainly a Troma-created character, Toxic Avenger, hitting the theaters this week. The little indie that could for the last 5 decades finally had the exposure it deserves. So we're going to get the show started off with some Troma talk. Got a couple of guests in the back that I'll bring in. But before I get to that, let's get to the sponsors of this week's show, the next week's shows too. The Long Walk in theaters, September 12th. For those of you who are local, if you've been following our social media, you will be able to see one of 2 advanced screenings. One of them will be September 3rd. This coming up, the one I'll be at AMC Town Square. If you follow the rules on our social media, then you know what to do to get in on that. And then there'll be another screening on September 8th, the day after my birthday. I will not be at that one because, I have already seen it. And appropriately, Troma Now. In the description is the link to sign up to Troma Now. Your first month is free. So we're going to be pulling up Troma Now. I got my subscription. We're going to be looking through that. And then our guests are going to be talking about that. The first month is free. And then after that, it's only $4.99. What I am going to be doing is if you sign up during this show and you send me email proof, contact@sci-fi-center.com. I'll go ahead and put that in there right now. Then I'm going to pick a lucky person. And I'm going to send you to go see Toxic Avenger, you and a guest. Free to sign up. Doesn't cost you anything. It's better than Vegas odds. You don't lose anything. And if you like it, you can keep it. All right. I'm going to bring in somebody who's going to help me co-host with this. Yeah, he's a prick, but he's a Troma guy. He appreciates Troma. That's a little movie perk. Oh, and he's not doing the dinosaur, and he's got the little colors in the back. Look at him. Looking like Forrest Gump.
More importantly, I got my Troma shirt on.
That's good. That's why I figured you needed to be here for this. And somebody I've done business with before. It's been a while. He is the host of the Troma podcast. That's also in the description. Talking Troma. Zach Beans. I hope I did not butcher your name.
It's Bynes, like Amanda Bynes, but less schizophrenic.
Oh, well, that's a good way to remember it. Whack job. How you doing, man? How's everybody doing tonight?
Doing great.
Awesome.
Doing great. I sent Lloyd an invite, but that old man, is one of the hardest working 80-year-old dudes I've ever seen in my life. He is at Tromawood. He might stop in and say hi. If he does, great. If he doesn't, I already know. Like I said, I will see him soon when we do our little Toxic Avenger thing out here in Las Vegas. It's been a big week. Like I said, in all the years I've been following this company, I've been watching Troma stuff since I was a kid. I saw Toxic Avenger in 1985. I was allowed to watch it in 1985. So yeah, it was for this long, this many movies released to finally get the general audience in on this is kind of cool. Yeah, technically it's not a Troma movie, but it's Toxic Avenger. It's Troma. And it was cool at San Diego Comic Con because I was there. The Lloyd then brought me out to see it featured at Comic Con, to see the hype at Comic Con, to see a lot of people who may not have ever seen a Troma anything. They know it in the periphery. To see him at Hall H, to see the screenings. It's a cool. It's like your team won in sports. It's kind of a cool thing. So, how are things going on your end? How are you feeling about this? How has the response been on your podcast? Because it's a big moment.
I mean, it's a huge moment. Like you said, I've been watching this movie forever, since I was a little kid, and been preaching the praises of Troma ever since I first discovered him, and nobody knew what the fuck I was talking about. And so to kind of sum up one of my experiences with this remake is my brother-in-law came up to me and was like, "Hey, I just saw the preview for this Toxic Avenger. That's what you always are talking about, right?" I was like, "Yeah." It's like, "That's kind of a big deal, isn't it?" And I was like, "Hell yeah, it's a big deal." Finally, something that only a niche few knew about. We're finally able to spread it out to the masses. So it's been pretty cool. On this show, we actually just did an interview with Macon Blair. And that just dropped yesterday. So talkingtroma.com, part of the Loudspeaker Network. So check that out.
That is in the description, by the way. Not only is the Troma Now in the description, his site is in the description, so you guys can go ahead and watch all of his past stuff. I am a piece of shit because of my schedule. I have not seen the new movie.
I mean, it literally just came out on Thursday evening, so
I missed out on every.
Early.
I missed out. There were 2 screenings in Comic Con, but because when I don't know if you've ever been to Comic Con, when you cannot be in more than one place at once, and the screenings were off site. They had 2 of them. They both sold out, and then the Hall H thing, and then there was a whole bunch of things going on, and then I was at the actual panel Saturday night. I was actually filming the Troma panel. And I was supposed to have another guest on, but we had a schedule conflict, and that's the guy who does the Troma the comic from Ahoy, because I met him there. Yeah, so we'll have him on next week. But it's been a wild ride. But like I said, that atmosphere at Comic Con, like I said, Hall H is huge, and for him to be up there with all these people with Elijah, I mean, just these are big stars, and it sucks because this movie should have came out in 2023, in my opinion. I've seen some of the shit that's gotten released in the 2 years that this movie should have been out, and not having seen it yet, I've still seen the type of shit that's come out in the last 24 months. I'm gonna make a good gamble that we could have mixed in this movie 2 years ago. Glad it got released at all, so I'm happy.
So the big
ahead.
controversy, though, on why the movie didn't come out 2 years ago was because they didn't actually have a distributor. So Legendary, they produced the movie, but they're not in the business of distributing films.
Yeah.
And also in that time, they were also bought by a bigger company at the same time. So so looking for a distributor with Legendary wasn't suddenly the biggest issue that was on their plate in that merger. But at one point, Troma was even looking at possibly distributing it. But fortunately, the Cineverse dudes came around and and they, with Terrifier 3. So it was all worked out, but yeah, it was it was nothing to do with the movie. It was all just
The distribution.
the stupid backwoods Hollywood deal stuff that gummed it all up in the works.
Because we were trying to get a screening of it out here. We were trying to get it because we were trying to get a screening, and I was emailing the guy from Legendary. We were actually emailing back and forth, and he said, "I can't give you permission because we don't have a distributor, so you can't screen a movie without some type of distribution." And then finally, when this happened, and that was like a year and a half ago, when I had Lloyd changing on the email because we were going to try to, because I was willing to pay the licensing fee to bring it out here, if they weren't going to do it, and then finally that happened with Cineverse. So, like I said, I think if you can release Terrifier, if you can release any of the Terrifier movies, then you can release Talker or Winter. And I guess Terrifier, the acceptance of Terrifier, which by the way, guys who like that movie, you're fucked up, and I don't mean that.
Hell yeah, we are.
And I don't mean that as an insult. I, on a whim, and at the request of one of our viewers, I went to a midnight screen or whatever screening of that. There were kids there dressed as Art the Clown. That movie is depraved, and I'm like, I don't want to hear shit about anything else not being. Oh, it's too intense. No, that guy take the chainsaw and split the dude in half, down the middle. We can release anything. So, little movie perp. I know, like I said, you're here because
Yes.
I know this Troma fandom is not for everybody. It's a brotherhood. So when I spot one, I try to seize the moment.
I love them. I love them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and not only are you holding on to Troma, you're holding on to physical media. Next thing you're going to be going without electricity.
I actually got this one signed by Lloyd, Terra Firmer. Yeah.
There you go. You know what? I got stuff. Was it with a show and tell?
Yeah. No, I actually
got a glow in the dark Toxie figure signed by Lloyd.
Oh, that's awesome. I want that. I actually have a weird origin with Troma and like all their movies. I didn't actually start off watching their movies. I was like a big movie geek when I was like in middle school and high school, and I read his book Make Your Own Damn Movie, and it really made such an impression on me that then I did a whole run where I just started watching all the movies, and I think some are better than others, but for the most part, the attitude, I love the attitude. I love the fuck it. Just like attitude and there's like they basically they have like real clever stuff in there as well. If you look deep enough, and it's really corny to say now because a lot of comedies do it, but like I think they had heart from the very beginning. There's lots of moments where they have a genuine heart, like Toxie and himself is such a genuine character, and I love it. And so I'm like with you guys, where I was just like this mainstream, look for however long it is, it's awesome, and I'm really thankful. It's really awesome. I think Lloyd really inspired me in general, so much that like I took the make your own damn movie to heart, and it actually inspired my career. And I was able to even direct an episode with my brother of Ash vs. Evil Dead here. So here, if you watch this Blu-ray.
So technically, if you autograph that would be worth something.
Yeah. Of this special edition, you can see me. You see my face in here. So yeah, I've always had that book, and I've always held Troma to like kind of inspire me to like really go for it. That's sort of me right there. See the glasses? To really go for it. And I'm always going to be rooting for Troma. I love it. I love this Toxic Avenger movie. I love the director. I love that. I even saw like the teaser. And like the sound, like they like some shots, it didn't seem like they were even using a mics. And I'm like, yes, they kept the attitude. Like I love it. It's just I'm real. I haven't seen it either. Unfortunately, it's not playing.
Did he freeze or did I freeze?
No, that was
because with StreamYard you never know. With StreamYard you have to ask to chat. How were we?
In true Troma fashion, there's going to be technical issues.
Was that me? Sorry. Yeah,
it could have been any of us. Now, Zach, we met a while ago, did we not?
Yeah. So, I guess I'll give my introduction to Troma as well, and because it leads into how we met. So back in high school, middle school, one of my buddies, I was a huge South Park fan. I'm from Colorado, so um, always into Trey Parker, Matt Stone, and one of my buddies made me a bootleg of Cannibal the Musical, and he asked, "Hey, do you want me to keep the movie previews on there because I think you'll dig them?" And I was like, "Yeah, whatever, sure, sounds good." And then I saw the trailers for all these like fucked up, crazy movies, and my mind was blown. I was hooked instantly and became an instant overnight Troma fan. I read all of his books, and then there was a call on the Troma website for the Toxic Avenger's 21st birthday, and me and my buddy, we went to Columbine High School, or we didn't go there, but we went to the actual high school. We filmed the Toxic Avenger running around, and as we're playing the accordion of the Toxic Avenger theme song, and we sent it in, and the Troma team loved it. They put it on their DVD. We then went to go work on Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead. We did the blood effects in that film, and they remembered our music video, so that's how they gave us that gig. And after that, we decided we're going to make our own feature film because we've always made shorts and stuff like that. So we made a movie called Adam the Amazing Zombie Killer, and we did the old school, put the movie in the back of our trunk, driving around the country, and William was gracious enough to host the Las Vegas premiere at the Sci-Fi Center of Adam the Amazing Zombie Killer. And and then I just kept my love for Troma going. I started a podcast because I've read and watched everything Troma related. I know too much of the inside baseball, and I needed to find something to do with this knowledge other than to bother my friends and family with. So I now bother the entire world with my knowledge of Troma entertainment.
I remember that. I remember because I still have the T-shirt.
Nice.
It's got the happy face on it. I still have the T-shirt. And that was like 16 years ago.
Yeah, it was a little while ago.
Yeah, and I remember that because, like I said, I was. That's when I had my original. It's about maybe 500 feet from where I'm sitting now.
Nice.
Because I moved to the other side, so I'm still in that plaza. And if you remember, I had, and this was before Netflix stole all my thunder. So I actually, the old screening room had elevated theater. Remember the stadium seating that it had? I built all that, and it had a screen and it was complete setup, and that was pre-streaming, so we could justify something like that. And yeah, we put your guys' movie on there. I still got the T-shirt. We actually had a pretty good crowd for that night. That was a wild. Night.
It was a fun time. And yeah, it was funny because Lloyd texted both of us. He's like, "You guys need to work together." And then it wasn't until we added each other on Facebook. It was like, "Oh, hey, yeah, we actually have you hosted my movie a hell of a long time."
Yeah, Biz Jack. I mean, I remember all that stuff, man. Because that was, like I said, that was towards the end of what I call the unrefined Sci-Fi Center days. We did a lot of crazy shit that, thank God we didn't have like people with their cameras on all the time, because when you do Troma stuff, it's not necessarily like when we did Poltergeist, and we did Cannibal the Musical. We actually did the Team Troma actually did Cannibal the Musical. I think it was Cannibal the Musical, like Rocky Horror, and they actually rehearsed it. Yeah, so we did some really crazy, and like I said, the nature of Troma movies is, sometimes your audience is, gets kind of crazy too, and they got crazy for these movies. Like we would show a Troma movie a week. We would show a Troma movie a week, and the catalog is huge. Some of the stuff is a little racy. Like I said, Poltergeist, like, hey, son, like my father always told me, go over and get that cross. I mean, I laughed at that, even though it was blatantly racist, but it was fun. The whole spirit was just having fun, and that these type of movies for that screening room that we had were perfect. It was an underground screening room. We were fully equipped. But like I said, now, which brings me to Troma Now, we have something that kind of killed that, because now you can just pick up your phone and watch anything you want. It used to be back in the day, like when you came to me, the only way you could really put out a movie like that was like you did it, and the only way you could see a movie like that was in a place like me, because nobody else was showing Troma. Vegas to this day is still a really hard market to crack when it comes to Troma, and that's including when we bring Lloyd out here in person. So It's been tough. Like you go to LA, it's so go anywhere else, You know, you mention it, they're there. Vegas is a little bit tougher. I don't know why, but we've been trying to crack this market for almost 20 years, and it's been an uphill battle. So, tell me a little bit about your podcast.
So yeah, I do the Talkin' Troma podcast. Basically, it started out like most podcasts. I'm a millennial, so when I was having midlife crisis, I can't afford to get a fancy car, but I can afford a $40 microphone, and I started talking about just trauma, and I wanted to not necessarily do a podcast talking about the Toxic Avenger, Sergeant Kabuki Man, Lloyd's movies, because everybody who has a horror podcast has talked about those films. I wanted to talk about their extensive library. So like my first episode, I did Rabid Grannies, but the second one was Frostbiter, and I had the filmmakers of Frostbiter come on, and we talk about that. And I've since had several people who've worked on Troma movies, and I liken it to if you're at a VFW and a veteran, only other people who have gone to war can relate and have those same war
I can
stories.
tell you that from a personal experience. Yep.
But I feel Tromaville is very similar, where you could work on a movie, but working on a trauma movie is a completely other situation.
Yeah.
And only other people who've worked on a trauma movie can be like, oh yeah, no, I definitely got screamed at Lloyd at 3 a.m. too, because the fake turds weren't looking real. So that's just stuff only other trauma veterans can relate to. So we like to bring out those war stories from Tromaville. And then we're now working on a more produced format of the show to make it kind of like This American Life, but set in Tromaville. And I would be like your Ira Glasshole, if you will. So
Okay. Now, you've seen the movie.
yes, I actually saw it 2 years ago, but
so you saw it before I got distributed.
So
I
saw a rough cut of it, and then I saw the most current version, which is pretty similar to the one that's out now.
It never occurred to me to ask them, can I get a screener? Oh well. But I want to see it. Somebody told me go ahead.
What? Yeah, you guys.
Oh, by the way, here's Brad. Here's my normal co-host.
Yeah. Well, you guys talk about Toxic Avenger, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I just I wasn't sure because I just came back from that about actually 20 minutes ago, so that's why I'm a little bit late getting on tonight.
Finally, a valid reason for your ass showing up late. I'm just kidding. Zach, what did you, as somebody who grew up with the original, how do you I think that this captured the spirit of what 1984 did?
I think one thing that people will have to do when going into this is realize it's not going to be a shot for shot, punch for punch remake of the Toxic Avenger. It is a new Toxic Avenger movie with a new Toxie and new Toxie things and new Toxie dynamics. As far as the spirit goes, it's what you would want to see for a big budget Toxic Avenger film. Does it always work? Some of the humor I think hits very well. Some of it, falls a little flat, but that also is the same case in a low budget Toxic Avenger movie. Just kind of like when the new Godzilla movies came out, and everyone's like, I don't know, they focused too much on the human stories, and those weren't good. It's like, well, clearly, you've never seen an old Godzilla movie, because Godzilla's not in those a lot either. so it's very similar to that. There's all sorts of trauma references. I mean, there's a Motorhead song that plays a crucial part in the film. So just right there alone,
that's perfect.
It's rad.
Let me love trauma. Go ahead, Perp.
Yeah, I have a question. I love obviously the Troma, that their in-house stuff is great, but also the stuff they distribute, they have some genuine masterpieces in there, like
100%.
Combat Shock or Luther the Geek.
Terra Firma is my favorite.
Yeah, I love that's in-house, but the Combat Shot specifically, I'd like what are your obscure Troma favorites that maybe I even haven't seen.
So
Like to give shout-outs
there's
to.
a comedy that Troma put out in the 90s that I absolutely love.
Mhm.
It's called Viewer Discretion Advised.
Okay, I haven't
That
seen that.
it's sort of like Kentucky Fried Movie, but for a TV generation. It's pretty damn funny.
Yeah.
Another movie it's finally starting to get its comeuppance is Vegas in Space, and
Ah,
that was in 1991,
Nice.
and it is filmed with a drag scene from San Francisco, and sadly the lead performer Doris Fish has passed on,
Oh,
but it's hilarious. It's such a fun movie. It's really cool. To see Virgin Beasts is another one that I like. That's an older one that they've put out.
Uh-huh.
It's by
there's Vegas in
this
space right there.
Virgin Beasts is by this crazed Australian punk rock
Damn
flyer
Aussies.
artist, and he went in and made a movie that is Virgin Beasts. But yeah,
I'm
it's
sorry. Why did I type space?
That's so Sci-Fi Center of you, Virgin Space.
Virgin Beasts
Hey,
is
fuck you.
another great one, and it's just absolutely bonkers. Gut Boy, that's a newer one, but
That
that's
boy. I heard of that one. Okay.
yeah, and that one just got a Blu-ray release not too long ago.
Okay.
That
Oh.
one's great. Eating Miss Campbell, Troma produced it.
Mhm.
I premiered
But
that here in Vegas.
nice, yeah. So like you're familiar with that. Disclosure, I do this voice of the Slate person at the very beginning of that movie.
Nice.
But that's another, just newer fun Troma one. Or if you want to go way back in the day, there's one called Screenplay, which is an off the wall bonkers art film that has George Cukor in it. So like it's
Let me get that
just
one.
wonderful.
Scream.
All of it, like I said, right while they're running these off, here's Troma Now. Here's another movie. That one's really underrated. Shakespeare Shipburn. That's another one. We did a double feature here, and we premiered both of those here in Las Vegas. So Troma Now has all of this. Troma Now has an extensive library,
Okay.
in-house, other stuff that they've been associated. There's Eating Miss Campbell. Got the interview with the director for that. That's one of them choose Troma spirit. But yeah, it's a pretty easy site to navigate. It's got the search bar, and yeah, there's a lot.
The app. You can download the app on almost everything now too. So
Yeah, like I said, this is what caused me to like not have Troma nights anymore, because like I said, when you can it's so easy, you can just do this at home. People are gonna be like, I think I'll just stay home.
and my movie
Rabbit
too
Canyon,
is on Troma Now. Adam the Amazing Zombie Killer. So
like I have a special connection to that movie now.
Zach, can I ask another quick question?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so there's James Gunn is famous for coming from Troma. Okay,
Yes.
What other obscure famous celebrity dipped their toe in the Troma? Because I got one off the dome. I think Kevin Costner was in one, right?
he was in
Wasn't he-
2.
He was in 2. Wow.
So he was in Sizzle Beach, USA, and
Oh my God.
and
love
Shadows Run Black.
Nice.
And not only is he are those movies they're fun, but the director of those went on and directed Class of Nukem High 2 and 3.
Oh wow.
And if you go see Weird Al in concert on this latest tour, Puddle's Pity Party, who opens, actually plays clips from Sizzle Beach, USA on the screen behind him. So just
there's Adam right
indoctrinating-
there, guys. As soon as you log in, bam, there it is.
Nice.
But and other celebrities that have came from Tromaville.
Yeah.
Let's not forget Samuel L. Jackson is in Death by Temptation.
That's right. Yes.
And that movie is really cool too. If the audience has not seen that,
Michael Jai White also.
And he's in the Toxic Avenger too. So
Nice.
yeah, you just never know who will pop up in any of these movies.
Yeah, because basically to them, it's an acting job. It's an acting job.
And at the beginning, Samuel L. Jackson wasn't Samuel L. Jackson yet when he was in Death by Temptation.
I mean,
So
look at this. Amity Island.
Wasn't Eli Roth in the fourth Toxie or in one of the
Eli Roth was friends with the Troma editor at the time. They went
Yeah.
to college together. So he does make a cameo next to Lemmy in Citizen Toxie. But
yes.
even funnier cameo is if you have the original Bloodsucking Freaks DVD, Eli Roth does the commentary on there as blood and guts expert Eli Roth, and that was before he made Cabin Fever. And he tried to track down like the cast and crew to do little interviews on there. So that's that goes way back.
Yeah, Vampire Hookers. There's another one. There's the one we've done. Just the names alone just get you in. I mean, you go scrolling up and down these. Uncle was a vampire, Dracula, Prisoner of Frankenstein. I mean, there's a lot on here. To me, it's not just the stuff Troma has a reputation for. There's some you can purchase, and there's All I Need to Know about Filmmaking by James Gunn. You can actually buy that on here. There's a lot of stuff on here. Like I said, $4.99 a month, and right now, if you get if you sign up now, you get the first month free, and it's a lot. I mean, and if like I said, if you ever had Shudder, things like that, this is a bargain for what you get.
And a lot of these movies end up showing on Shudder or any of those other platforms, anyways. And you could keep coming back if you just create a new email address every month. You could perpetually go for free forever.
Okay, I wasn't trying to do that to him. I know I'm trying to make some money. Thanks a lot.
Although I'm sure that I pay my $5 every month. If anything, any small thing I could do to help keep their doors open, I will do.
Well, now you got to make up for the ones you just gave away there.
That's the thing. My goal is somebody will sign up with multiple email addresses, but forget to cancel. So then they'll get billed like 15 times. So
the churn rate will go down. All right, Anthony's got a question for you. Zach has trims. I think he meant Troma. Trims. Oh my god. Zach, Troma thought of doing any vampire or werewolf movies, or are you the guys who are mainly do slash and supernatural horror, found footage horror? They do everything.
Yeah, I mean they one of my favorite vampire movies is called Drawing Blood, and that was one that Troma picked up and distributed. As far as stuff that Lloyd makes, his are just more horror comedy. So I don't know if you could really call any of them slasher or supernatural or whatever. It's a Troma movie. It kind of encompasses a little bit of everything.
Toxic Avengers, almost technically, it's a superhero movie. Like it's a really
it really is.
And maybe Poultrygeist is more of like a zombie film.
Yeah.
Terror Firmer, I guess, is the slasher. Class of Nukem High is just like the gang film, and it's just a little bit of everything. Shitstorm is the family film. So
what?
I've never actually seen this Shakespeare's Shitstorm, so I'm gonna have to give that a look.
I saw it out here with Lloyd. Lloyd came out here and we premiered it.
It's ridiculous. It's
Shakespeare. It's Shakespeare. For those of you guys who did the pinky up, turn their nose up at Troma, he did Shakespeare, and it's verse for verse. Eating Miss Campbell was kind of gross, but it was very enjoyable. Like I said, we premiered that one out here. Bloodsucking Freaks is a classic. I mean, it's a classic as far as like that genre of movie that pays homage to.
Well, I have not seen this. You're the Sci-Fi Center, so I got to ask you this: do you know the sci-fi connection of Bloodsucking Freaks to one of the most famous sci-fi franchises of all times?
I've been told this by him, been told this by Lloyd, and I can't put my finger on it because I'm old.
So Louis DeJesus, who played Ralphus in Bloodsucking Freaks, the little guy, he also played an Ewok in Return of the Jedi.
Okay, yeah.
So if next time you're watching Return of the Jedi, just think about one of those Ewoks running around with a decapitated head fucking it.
Yeah.
Or I can think of the fact that they had a dress ready for Leia, which means the preceding woman had been eaten. So yeah, there's a lot of horrifying things about the Ewoks.
Yeah, there's honestly probably already fan rendering of that.
Oh, and there's probably
by little movie perp. I think he just made an admission.
Oh, so somebody's gonna will that into existence. So
Troma's War. Troma's. We'll go back to that one. That one had a record, I think, at one point for most
Yeah, we played that. We actually
most
played
pyrotechnics for a while.
But, supposedly, as Lloyd says, it has the most bullet hits at the time.
He's going after John Woo. Look at him.
Yeah, other than Sam Peckinpah's Wild Bunch. But he doesn't know if that's true. But it is the first film to show a woman's breasts exploding by gunshot. So yeah.
Troma's always got first.
Well, remember Desperate Living when they were that movie. Oh, here's Troma's War. Aaron has a question. Does Troma have any LGBT films?
So they actually do have quite a few. We'll start with Lloyd's movies. He has very strong LGBTQ themes in a lot of his films. But like Vegas in Space, which we brought up earlier, is about the made by the drag community in San Francisco in the late 80s, early 90s, who sadly most of that scene is not with us anymore. They have on Troma Now I believe there's an LGBTQ section or a queer section. The Spy Darlings is another one that's in there. Killer Condom is another. They don't necessarily own that one anymore, but it was on there. Oh, how could I forget Yeti, a gay love story? So yeah, there's quite a few
There you go, Aaron.
LGBTQ films in their thing.
So that answered that question. Okay, Anthony asking this question again. Is Changeling a Troma movie? I do believe.
No.
The Changeling is not a Troma movie, but it is a good movie.
Yeah, they're just offering it on top of other Troma movies.
Yeah, so part of Troma Now, which is cool, is not only do they have other Troma films and stuff, but they also license other films, other libraries. So, like, I know they license a bunch of stuff from like Severin or Vinegar Syndrome to put on the site. Yeah. They actually just is in the trades a few years ago. They purchased the Shapiro Glickenhaus collection, so they got now Troma owns like the Basket Case 2 and 3 and Frankenhooker and Red Scorpion, stuff like that.
It's a nice home for Frankenhooker.
That's a perfect home for Frankenhooker. But yeah, so it's not just for Troma stuff; it's Troma associated stuff, and they've the distribution and everything else.
Oh, Samurai Cop. Perfect.
And also, it's Howard the Duck is not a Troma film.
I wasn't going to pay that any credence. Yeah, that's our resident troll, 4th 1000.
Howard the Duck does show up in James Gunn's Guardian of the Galaxy, though. So there is a Howard the Duck Troma connection there.
Yeah.
Connected to Lloyd. Zach, what movie do you want next to get the Toxic Avenger big treatment remake, reboot, whatever you want to call it, from the Troma library?
If I could see anything from the Troma library getting a big budget reboot, I mean, Class of Nukem High would be pretty cool.
That's a show right there. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, just like Glee, but but make it a edgy teen Degrassi, but with radioactive marijuana.
I've always wanted a gritty remake of Surf Nazis Must Die.
I mean, the first movie is pretty gritty.
I know, but I loved it. And the grandma stuff, keep all that stuff. I love that stuff. I just want a little more hardcore and edge. And let's do it. I love that movie. That's my probably the most underrated Troma movie for me. I love Surf Nazis Must Die.
There's a lot of there's just so many that are underrated. I mean even Toxic Avengers for 40 some odd years now. Like I said, we're just 40 now 41 years. I mean, not only are you got kids if you saw this in the theaters.
Yeah, well, also Toxic Avenger is a Troma like thing that actually crossed over to kids when they had the kids TV show. There was
Yeah,
like
cartoon,
a
Toxic
movie.
Crusaders, which the video game,
Mhm.
the new
Oh,
the new
true,
Toxic
yeah.
Crusaders game is coming out in December for all the systems. So my kids will be able to play the new Toxic Crusaders game just as I did. Although this one's probably better than the ones that we played.
I'm going to be certain that they're going to have a little bit more in regards to resources. But hey, when we to start, listen, I go even back further than you. I go back to when the old man, like I always say on the show, when he bought in that 2600, that Atari 2600, man. I mean, we were the high tech kids on the block, with our little
I grew
block
up with
stuff,
my
man.
Odyssey too. So
Yeah, so
So Sergeant Kabuki Man specifically, I was actually, when I did a whole Trauma run, again, I was inspired by the book. And when I got to Sergeant Kabuki Man, I was not expecting to like it. I'm a huge martial arts geeks like my boy Brad over there. But
yeah,
it's actually a
Whoopee.
ridiculously charming movie. It's actually really charming. Like the performance by the dude is actually really awesome. And I really like the Sergeant Kabuki Man. I do consider it a martial arts film. But
and
go
Troma,
ahead.
and as far as the only martial arts film, that's the only in-house
Mhm.
one. But they put out a few called Dragon Fury back in like the mid-90s. They also distributed a Bruce Lee movie back when you could just fall upon a box of negatives that were cut together with Bruce Lee in them.
Yeah.
So I forget which one, but they definitely put out a Bruce Lee film as well.
Do you have a section in your streaming site of just all the movies that have the car crash in it? Like, even if it's just 4?
Just sit through and just wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, at Comic-Con they made it. They featured that because it's and everything. They kept
Yeah.
showing it over and over again,
I love it.
and it was kind of hilarious. Now, I would be remiss because I was actually on the air when we got the announcement, and this is from Larry, who's in the chat when Doug Sackman passed away. I should have probably opened up the show with this, but that was a little too somber. Who was he? 42.
I think so. He's not too much older than I was. Like
He was too young to be dying. And like I said, I when I heard that, because he had a friend of him who I guess had passed on the news before we even. I was scouring the internet to figure out. I was hoping it wasn't true. And then as the hours went on, you would hear it from the Troma side. And so if we're talking Troma, I could not go this show without bringing him up. So rest in peace, Doug. Like I said, it fucking sucks that he wasn't here to see all this because he was a big part.
And he was very excited about this remake coming out.
Yeah,
we recorded an episode with Doug in the part of what the new format of the show is. We're interviewing a bunch of people and then splicing parts of their interviews into like a bigger story type of thing, like audio documentary style. And when Doug passed away, we decided just to release the whole mostly unedited just interview that we did with him, as well as reach out to a bunch of friends and stuff who worked with him to put together a tribute episode for Doug. Other than working, recording with him, I didn't work with him much, but he was one of the first people in the film industry to give me any sort of filmmaking advice back when I was in high school. I reached out to Troma and Doug answered, and I talk about it in the episode. But there's definitely a big hole in all of our Tromavillian hearts.
I just emailed him. I just emailed him a few weeks before because when Doug or whenever we bring Lloyd out, there's a certain set of people that you communicate with, and he was one of them. So we would, we were, setting up logistics and everything else because he was more than just, that type of filmmaker. He was in the infrastructure of Troma. So I knew who he was. And when Larry told me he had passed away, a lot of times you hear somebody pass away and you got to think of who it is. No, I knew exactly who he was. And I literally have him in my phone.
In Philly, his hometown, they had a parade and they had a whole part of the parade that was dedicated to Doug. which I can't think of many other parades that would go through somebody's city where they would have a in memoriam for one person. That's how much Doug meant, not just to the Tromaville, but to the world. Like he's gonna be missed.
Yeah. Did they do any dedication to him when they do the movie, or is there anything in to mention of him? Or
I mean, the Toxic Avenger remake is a big budget Hollywood thing, so they.
I was just thinking maybe, but if they didn't,
it would have been nice. But that's just something that.
So when we screen it here in Vegas, when we bring them out here, I'll put it up there.
Every ticket that people buy to go see the movie, Doug is smiling a little bit just knowing that there's a big budget Toxic Avenger movie somewhere that somebody's seeing in the theater. I'm sure.
Cool.
And then you can smile even more by watching his movies on Troma Now. They have Punk Rock Holocaust 1 and 2, which he directed, that is on Troma Now, which are a lot of fun.
Which is free for the first month. And if you sign up and you send me proof that you signed up, I'm going to pick a lucky winner. And you're probably going to see Toxic Avenger before me because I will send you and a guest to that. So email me your proof that you are either a current member or that you're signing up right now. And then I will do a drawing. And I don't need to see. I don't know if you need to remake Rapid Grannies. I think it's all there. There are certain Troma movies that I don't know if you can really, if there's a point in doing a remake in some of these. Like, do I need a Poltergeist remake? I think it's all there. I think certain movies now. Toxic is different because you're talking about 41 years. Actually 39 if you consider the 2-year gap. There's a lot there. I mean, there's a lot. The movie making and technology, that cool things that we've developed in 41 years. Some of these other movies, I'm like, nah, it wasn't a technological thing. The spirit of the movie is not going to change no matter how much money you add to it. So,
although I will say, if I was to remake Rabid Grannies, I would actually make them rabid in the remake.
Namesake. So yeah, I mean, I think I don't know how well the movie is doing so far, but like I said, I will add my 2 cents. I wanted to go to AMC because the theater down the street only had the 2 showings. They had a 2:00 showing and a 7:00 showing. I was supposed to go see it today. I was actually going to go see it today, but I'm in the middle of a retail on a Saturday, Labor Day weekend. I could not unpin myself from here today. So I need to, I was supposed to go see it, but I'll probably go see it either tomorrow night or Monday, Labor Day. But I'm definitely going to see it. Probably like I said. And then as soon as it hits the home market, like I said, I wanted to bring Lloyd out, but like he's everywhere, man. He's in Canada, he's in LA. He's like, man, just watching where he goes on the map exhausts me looking at the map.
And we're not 80.
That's what I'm saying. And when you see him, when he's here. When you see him in person, you're like, man, maybe we don't want to work that man too hard. We want to get him back to the hotel. Now, Lloyd, dude, when we first brought him out here for this first Troma event we did, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna have him ask a couple questions, and then we're gonna get him back to the hotel because it's a long flight. He came from New York, tired. That old man went for 4 hours, man. He wore me out while I was there. I'm like, you okay, Lloyd? Do you need some water? He's like, one more question. And that one more question was like, and then the people who did show up that were like, they weren't peripheral Troma. They were tattoo wearing, Toxic Avenger, tattoo on the chest, Lloyd, sign this on my chest type of guys. These are the 1%ers of the 1%ers that showed up. So, they had more than enough questions to ask. Go ahead, Perp. You were about to ask?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, you mentioned earlier, you talked to all these filmmakers and, how it's, it's basically a war zone in Troma set and all that. This has been featured in a lot of like their DVDs. One of the things that I've always appreciated about Troma is that they don't hold back. Or do you like put these footage in the streaming service or is that a plan in the future? Yeah, like the making ofs that are amazing. They're amazing.
Yeah, they're on there. They even have little bits on the Troma Now of the make your own damn movie master classes, which are interviews, but like a requirement. So I worked on Poultry Guys Night of the Chicken Dead, and they said before you come out, watch Apocalypse Soon, the making of Citizen Toxie.
Yeah,
and watch Farts of Darkness, the making a Terraformer, just so you get an idea of
Their sets, yeah.
yeah, and we, I was already a fan of those documentaries, so I
Sure.
knew what I was going in for. And they also have we made a documentary on Poultrygeist as
Mhm.
well, which, and then learning also from that experience that what you see in those documentaries is actually only a small fraction
Mm.
of the crazy conditions of working on a Troma movie. If you think
Yeah.
the documentary is insane,
Yeah.
uh, it's like 10 times that, because you don't get the smell or the sleep deprivation or the insults that
Yeah.
you do on Poultrygeist. We lived in an abandoned church. There was
Uh-huh.
one shower for 70 people, and the hot water heater broke a few days in, so we were all doing a couple minute cold water showers if you took one that day. And often you were covered. I was doing the blood every day, so I was often covered in corn
Wow.
syrup and food coloring, and I would just go to bed, and then in the morning I would peel myself off of the floor because I was stuck to it, and go back in. And we did what we called Troma showers, which was
Wow.
Sounds
Purell
like
hand
something that's gonna get me
sanitizer and anti-bee
demonetized.
spray. So
Well, yeah, that's crazy because there was. I remember that one specifically didn't like. There was like big crew members like they would even walk out. Like the DP walked out at least for one day at some point too, right? Like
it
or more than that. Like it was crazy.
it's interesting on a Troma film, and this is still true to this day on a Lloyd movie, is that there's the camera crew and then the Troma crew.
Mm.
So it's almost like two schools. So
Oh,
so the camera crew,
they're not used to those conditions.
they get yeah, like they all have done bigger gigs and stuff like that, and they actually get
Yeah.
nicer places to sleep and better working conditions than the rest of us do.
Oh,
So
sure,
there's
sure.
always, as you can see in the Poultrygeist documentary, that definitely leads to animosity between the two. But I also
Oh,
think
wow.
that the fights and struggles between uh the camera crew and the rest of the crew also helps bring the art that you see on the screen,
Absolutely.
which you won't get that on a movie when everybody has union meal times and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Hey, it's the best of both worlds. Best of both worlds. So we
Mhm.
got to do a watch party for Adam, Amazing Zombie. It's been years since I've seen that. We got to do that watch party.
That'd be fun. That'd be a lot of fun.
Because I remember what a hoot that movie was when I first saw it. That movie's fucking crazy. And I remember looking over to you guys and like, this is you. I mean,
Well,
because
I
that's crazy. That movie's crazy by Troma standards, and that's saying some shit.
well, thank you.
That's a compliment to you.
That's what we were hoping
Nice.
for. And also, because we learned what we did on Poultrygeist, we also made a feature length documentary of the making of our movie, which isn't on Troma Now, but we have it on YouTube and all those places. It's on the DVD. We made
Yeah.
a feature length documentary on how we made it, which might even be even more accessible to somebody making their first movie, because you're not going to have all the Troma fans coming to help you for free. You maybe have two friends that you can call up to help you make the movie. So we learned from Troma, always have somebody running behind the scenes camera at all times, and then you get two movies for the price of one, which will help you sell your movie to a distributor.
Yeah, I liken Troma to what Ed Wood was back into the 50s. I often bring up Ed Wood because when you think of Ed Wood, you think of just crazy movies that, that were unorthodox, that weren't good, or didn't make a lot of money, or didn't. But if you look at the bare bones of what Ed Wood was, it was still filmmaking. It was still movie making. It was still some guy making a movie. And at the grassroots level, and that's why I think the worst movie that you'll ever see, the worst movie that you'll ever see was made by somebody, especially an indie movie. But like I would say, we see guys out here, they've used my store to film movies, and I've had people, call their aunts and their cousins and everything else to be extras, and it takes them 3, 4, 5 years just to make a movie. And then, at that point, it really, once you've done it, yeah, even if it's fucking trash, you're a movie maker. You've done something that less than 1% of the population will ever do at any level. And I think if Ed Wood never made the type of movies he made, then there's a lot of people that were influenced by him that would not. And I think Troma is the same way. Troma is maligned by outsiders, but I know there's a lot of people who are influenced by just the structure of business. You don't stay around for 5 decades and not know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff has to be an influence at least.
I've always saw like Troma as kind of like punk rock, where it's like they're kind of rough around the edges, but there's so much passion. It's
People
kind of
gave punk rock more of a chance than they gave Troma, though.
yeah. Well, at the same time, there is like an industry respect for Troma, even worldwide, almost like when Troma does their Troma walk in Cannes. You know, everyone knows those are the Troma guys. You know, there is this kind of reputation and respect to them. Yeah,
you notice the punk rock gets in the new Superman movie gets kind of a shout out. You know, just saying.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I've always considered, maybe because I've been watching it this entire time, I've always considered it to this day an underdog. That's why.
Yeah.
That's why when you see what's happening now with Toxic Avenger, there's a lot of people that now if they go, a lot of people who are going to go see this movie have not seen any of the original movies, but they will now go back and see, hey, what's this all about? And that's kind of cool. But yeah, I've always considered Troma. I don't think Troma gets that kind of respect. But then again, maybe because I'm looking at it from a 40-year view of them always being, that kind of shit. Or when I would say people, hey, you want to watch this? Oh, let's But now it's like, okay, because of movies
I think the Toxie remake and San Diego Comic-Con in particular shows that Troma's like finally penetrating that hymen of the mainstream. Because at that Hall H panel when you see Lloyd get a standing ovation,
Yes.
and then you see people actually asking Lloyd filmmaking and other questions, like I was nervous for him that people were just gonna go up there and ask Game of Thrones questions to Peter Dinklage the whole time and not give a fuck that, in my opinion, the biggest celebrity is right there on the stage and they're gonna ask about Hobbit stuff. But seeing that Lloyd got, he got his roses that day, and it was just really sweet to see.
Yeah, and like I said, I was there. I didn't get into that particular panel.
Hey,
but
it's Chaz Kangas.
I'm figuring. Yeah, I knew I had to bring that up. But yeah, Comic-Con was cool, and like I said, when we did the Saturday panel. Now, for those of you who've never been to Comic-Con, Saturday is the third to last night. That's the night where everybody is partying. They're doing all the off-site stuff. All the gas lamp is everybody's going somewhere, and then you have your panels for your really dedicated people. A lot of those panels on Saturday night got like 10 people in them. This panel that we had that I was a part of this last Saturday night was very full. It was very spirited, and all of it was driven by the fact that the awareness now of Troma was somewhere that it was not even the prior year before, 2 years before. And I've been in those panels, in room 6B, the last 2 years, and it was just a different energy this time around about the whole thing, and it was a cool energy. It's like now it's finally people saying, okay, let's give this a shot. And like I said, everybody for free got a free month of Troma Now. Email me your receipt or some kind of proof that you had. And like I said, I'm going to pick a winner probably tomorrow. And then I'm going to send you, and you don't have to be local here in Las Vegas because we got Fandango. We got all kinds of ways to do this. But yeah, if you show me that you've gotten your free month, why are we bringing up in a violent nature? Whatever. Like I saw, we live streamed that, and I thought that was a horrible movie.
You had a violent reaction to that.
Yeah. Well, because everybody was telling me how great it was, and then I spent time to watch it. I just didn't. I didn't. There were so many things I didn't like about it.
Show the slasher.
Well, speaking of live stuff, all weekend, this holiday weekend, on the Talkin' Troma YouTube channel, we uncovered a bunch of just crazy old Toxic Avenger clips and just fun toxic stuff. So we have like this live stream that's going, on a loop. It's several hours long of just crazy old Toxic Avenger footage, and just fun stuff from the history of Toxie throughout the whole time. So That's yeah, and we that's one of the cool things we also do on our YouTube page, right? So if you don't want to, if you don't like Violent Nature, come to the Talkin' Troma Nature, and even if you like Violent Nature, come over anyways.
Yeah.
We have all sorts of cool, like just unseen stuff from the annals of Troma history. Are the
Were you
annals of
there
Troma
in San
history.
Diego?
What's that?
Were you there in San Diego? Because I'm looking at your footage. You look like you were sitting next to me.
I was not. My producer Chris Lamphere was. I wish.
Was
I
he
could
the
have
one
made
that
it.
was filming at the really odd angles? I think I saw. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, you're like right in front of me. What are you doing? But I knew what he was. He was cool though. Yeah, because I filmed it on the other end. I filmed it for Megan and Marcus. I used their
Okay.
phone. Yeah, they had me filming. So I just put your link to your So go ahead and subscribe to Zach. So that's our Troma Hour. I feel like it's a celebration. That the mainstream is getting this chance, and I think that as time goes on with anything, people their thick skin to some of these things gets a little bit thinner, and will let it in now. And I think this movie, you got Tyrion Lannister up there playing Toxie. I know a lot of people are mad because he wasn't in the actual suit itself, and I'm like, dude, you can't he can't be harmed.
It
Come
goes
on.
back to the tradition of every other Toxic Avenger movie where the person doing the voice is different than the person in the suit, with sort of the exception of 2 and 3, because there was 2 different Toxies in part 2 and 3. But other than that,
I was thinking about that tonight, seeing it. It's like, man, that makeup must have been just brutal on the suit.
I hope it wasn't too hot, because the new Toxie suit does not seem like it would have been comfortable.
It doesn't
wearing
look
any
it at
sort of
all.
heat.
Nah, it looks like it's made out of a different material, but
It looks like the Swamp Thing suit from like the '90s TV show.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, it's like, yeah, that's that you're losing like 5 pounds a day in water weight in that.
all right, guys. Troma Now. The link is in the description, and it's tied to the top of the chat. Also, go his Zach's podcast is in the description. Go listen to that. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Thanks for giving me an hour of your time, Zach. And like I said, we need to get together, man. Old times,
Heck yeah. I got a couple other plugs, if you'll indulge me.
Go for it.
So, other than the Talkin' Troma podcast, which is, oh, hey, thank you for subscribing. I got nothing free other than thumbs up, but thank you. But the Refuse Films, they did Eating Miss Campbell. I've been working with them on their Troma DVDs, or Troma Blu-rays that they've been putting out, helping them with special features. I want to mention those because it's a very great companion piece to the show and what we're doing. Highly recommend those, refusefilms.com. And also, Chaz Kangas, who popped up in here, is about to do a pre-order for a Troma album. Hey, there he is. He has an album coming out with a pre-order, 50 years of traumatic hip-hop, and it is awesome. So
Lloyd came to Vegas, and he had his Tupac sweatshirt on. I don't know why it made me laugh, but he had it on. I mean, it's a hoodie. And I'm like, oh, man. And not only because I know he's somewhere listening to Tupac. He's not one of them dudes that wears a shirt. I know he's somewhere listening. Tupac was a poet. I could tell he was listening to him. He could probably, if I'd have asked him, he'd have probably recited some shit there for me. But yeah, just that guy, he has a range. He has a range about him. But yeah,
he would have done a rendition of Tromaville Love. So.
Yeah, and then the whole crowd would have got in on it because, like I said, the people who show up to, like the people who show up to our Troma events here they're not in Vegas. They come from California. They come from Arizona. And like I said, these are people with the Toxie. One guy had the the mop tattooed up and down his arm. And I believe one person, I think I got pictures of video of he had a Toxic Avenger tattoo, the head, and he had Lloyd sign it. And I think he got the tattoo filled in down the street. That's the kind of people who are diehard. But now they get brothers and sisters now because of the movie. Will expand the Troma audience. So thank you, Zach, for being here.
Thank you for having me on.
Zach.
Perp, you can stick around, but I'd rather you not. No, I'm just kidding. But I'll let you go, Zach, because I know you got a schedule that we had to work around. And thank you for being here. We'll be in touch, man.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, good
All
to
right, thanks, Zach. All right.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
gonna head out too. I won't bother you guys.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna kick you out.
Clean Brad and Williams show.
Yeah,
That's,
I wasn't
that's what
gonna
I want.
tell you
That's
needed
what
to
I would
leave,
want.
but I wanted you.
Man,
Yeah, I didn't want
right.
you hanging around any longer. No.
Yeah.
All right, thank you for the little movie for coming in. I saw him out because I know other than myself in our community, I don't know of a bigger trauma disciple than him. So I wanted him to be here for this.
I saw him talking about that earlier, that he was going to be on the show tonight. So I was like, okay, that's awesome. Around and it's like I mean, you guys are definitely the bigger Trom experts than I am, but yeah, I just came back from seeing, like, right before hopping on the new Toxic Avenger, and definitely. But I enjoyed it. It's I mean, it's it's definitely got it lives up to their reputation, even though this is kind of like, this is, as Zach said, it's kind of, it's sort of removed from like the in-house production, because now it's got Legendary involved, so they got more of a budget than they usually have and whatnot. But it's, I mean, it definitely lives up to their reputation, because it's you get plenty of the shock factor in it.
Yeah, like I said, I was supposed to see it this afternoon, but like I said,
and I was gonna say this. I wanted to. Didn't want to bring in this up too much while you're talking to Zach, but it's like, so now I get to make fun of you for something that you were a big fan of, that I got to see first.
Not really, because that kind of stuff doesn't really bother me.
You drive me nuts about seeing Ballerina for me.
Like, well, that's because you reacted to it all crazy. Then I'm like, okay, I can fuck with him now, but me now.
Enjoy myself. Cool deal. All right, see you, Perp.
Yeah, like I said, I sent an invite to Lloyd. He might even pop up before we're done here, but he's in LA right now. I sent him a link. He said he was going to try to jump on, but I didn't have any expectations given where I saw what he's doing. It's called Tromawood. It's a big thing for trauma out in LA, and I'm pretty sure it's packed. So yeah, we bought weed. We bought weed for Lloyd when he got here. First, we got him from the airport, and we took him to a dispensary. Hey, it's legal. It's Vegas. When in Rome, what the Romans doing? So, Troma needs to get into the music industry. Don't say that too loud, because you might.
By the way, because I hadn't seen the trailer for the new one going into it, so I sort of went to the new Toxic Avenger blind, so I didn't realize that Kevin Bacon was in it. He was the villain in it.
Kevin Bacon, Elijah Wood.
Yeah, they got, when they made him look like. The makeup on Elijah Wood's like,
you look like the Penguin.
That's exactly what I thought when he came on screen. It's like, he's like, I wanted I'd like put that clip from I believe the word you're looking for is
Yeah. When I put Black Panther Forever, that's more of a Black Panther Forever, because we're talking. So we'll just roll right into this. 5 years ago, a couple of days ago, we lost Chadwick Boseman, and when I'm sitting, because I watch John Campea every day. I don't agree with him on a lot of things, but the way he articulated that made me think, where would the MCU be if Chadwick Boseman had lived? Yeah. It really did change a lot, because you don't realize it because they never got a chance to really take off with it, but he was being set up to be that, one of those characters that drove the MCU to the next level. And I'm always saying, you know what, the biggest problem I had with the MCU is after No Way Home, there was no plan. But then you realize how big, because Black Panther he wasn't a support character. Black Panther was brought in as a mainline. He was one of the very first characters in the first 5 years of Marvel that Jack Kirby and Stan Lee created together. So he was one of those tops, and he's always been treated that way. Black Panther is not a guest. He does guest appearances, but Black Panther, for most of the years, whether the books get canceled or not, because a lot of books get canceled, but Black Panther has always been treated as an A-lister. They've always, even when the movie came out, Black Panther was treated, whether your opinion about whether Black Panther was an A-lister or not relevant. Marvel treated him as that. They gave that movie the budget of an A-lister. They gave that movie a presence of an A-lister. They introduced him in the midst of their A-listers. Civil War is the second best Avenger movie.
Well, it's all their A-listers, of that era all at once.
Yeah, Tom, and introducing Spider-Man, the MCU Spider-Man in there. You got Tony Stark. You got you got Chris. You have the two big revenue drivers of that universe, and you put Black Panther in the middle of all that. So it appears that their plan was to make Black Panther characters like Black Panther, Doctor Strange, is part of that pantheon that would drive the MCU after after the ones that ran their course. And his passing definitely changed. It definitely changed Wakanda forever,
Well, and
for the worse.
well, and to kind of get a little more context to it as well, because it was such an out of left field passing too, because it was very much kept within his family that he the diagnosis that he had. And my sister, I remember, actually texted me that night. It's weird. It's like she was also the one to break the news to me when Michael Jackson died, and she texted me the same things like Chadwick Boseman died, and I'd go on social media and all over. There it is. And I was one thing I want to point to, because he really tried to just continue on with his life and his career, and I read like up until like the last week or so of his life, he thought he was going to be able to beat his colon cancer. And so what that means is that for the bulk of his tenure as Black Panther, he had colon cancer. So he had Civil War, and then he was diagnosed sometime after that. And I mean, just talk about somebody who's just really just committed to this role and this character and everything that came with it. I mean, you look at like the waterfall scenes, in the first Black Panther, those fight scenes where he's showing he was in phenomenal shape for that. I just look back
horribly animated scene.
Yeah. Well, that's you're talking about like the fight with the end fight with Killmonger. Well, yeah, but that's the whole other thing. But like you look at those, like the man you're looking at, it like has colon cancer there, and you've not a trace of
it.
Well,
the very first time you see him as Black Panther too. Apparently, he had it even when he was filming.
Well, he was diagnosed,
Black Panther.
I think, like sometime. Yeah, in the first Black Panther. Yeah, he was like diagnosed, I think, sometime after he finished Civil War. So like the bulk of his tenure, he was having to cope with this illness, and again, they kept it very. Most people at Marvel didn't know about it. He kept it very much.
Kevin Feige said he didn't know it.
Yeah, so that's why it's one of those passings where it's like it just comes like right out of left field, such a shock. And this is, of course, this is during like when COVID was still, I mean, theaters were just opening up at that point. They didn't really have like a whole lot, as far as like new releases. The studios are like keeping that pretty close. So theaters are just creeping open at that point. And like after he passed away, there a lot of theaters, including mine, they did like a whole like surge of like re-releases of like things he was in, like 42. The first thing I saw him was 42 when he played Jackie Robinson. Then my theater had a re-release of 42. And yeah, it was really really, really shocking, really tragic news to see. I think it was actually it was late at night when that happened. I was actually talking. It was the weekend that New Mutants came out, and I just seen New Mutants that night. New Mutants, of course, infamously had been shifted around like 5 times. So finally came out in the heart of COVID. I mean, it was DOA because everything would have been DOA at the box office, in the theaters.
Yeah, unless you're Christopher Nolan, want to jam it in there anyway.
But... Well, yeah, that's a whole other topic. So we're on the phone, like talking about our thoughts on it, and then I get the text from Megan, and I tell Mike, and then we look it up. It's like then the conversation just totally shifts from like New Mutants to Chadwick Boseman. So it's kind of
because it was like I said, he kept it hidden, even though people looked at him and he had lost a lot of weight, but a lot of that was people thought he was just in a role. I mean, because sometimes
that was for that one he did with Spike Lee, wasn't it? With like the one he was like the Vietnam soldier.
Yeah, something like that. I personally I did not see a lot of Chadwick Boseman's movies. The first time I saw him was Black Panther. I didn't see. I saw the other movies afterwards, but it's Black Panther that put him on the map for me. But yeah, it changed. I didn't even waste time to go see New Mutants in the theater. Yeah, I heard about that, but I wasn't going to play it because it's not a legit copy. I don't feel like getting that. That'll get you a strike. Um, but yes, Clint, we are doing it. It is on. We're doing our Rock Hero Picture Show at Ellis Island on the 30th of October, the day before Halloween. Ooh, you're really grinding in the background, so I have to mute you for a second. Thank you for the $2 super chat, Rational. Oops, hold on, I won't let me bring it up. Like I said, and then it didn't really hit me until he laid it out that way, and how much of they really lost an A-lister. They lost an A-lister at a time when they had already cycled through the ones that we had been seeing since 2008, 2010, and so on. He was really the one that they had planned, like I said, along with Benedict Cumberbatch and maybe a couple other, maybe even Thor, because Thor was still around. But I can't help to think the quality of the MCU during that interim time was hurt by this. Just look at what it did to his movie. It was never on the page that they should have turned that movie into what they turned that movie into. I think there are a million ways to pay respect and memorialize the people we've lost. Not a movie. Not a movie. They turned that movie into a funeral, and it's one of the few MCU movies besides the Thor movies that I won't watch again because of the feeling of dread, the feeling it just takes me out of, I'm not there, I'm not entertained. I understand paying respect to the dead. You have funerals that pay the respect to the dead. You have memorials that pay respect to the dead. You have gatherings that pay the respect to the dead. You have monuments that pay. You have a lot of different things. That is not what. If you wanted to do a documentary about Chadwick Boseman, what he met, and what he was going through, and how heroic and all it was, that's fine. That movies are made. People get together, they put on these costumes, and they become something else somewhere else. It is not. Chadwick Boseman wasn't, he played the Black Panther, but the Black Panther existed before Chadwick Boseman, and Lord willing, there will be 4 or 5 other people in our lifetime that may play the character over the next 50, 60 years. Yeah. Everything in the movie is there to support the story. And when Ryan Coogler did that, he made a decision that did not have anything to do with the story, did not support the story, and in my opinion, hurt the story. But now I'm thinking, beyond just that one movie, where he was supposed to be in the MCU. And, I'm not saying that's the whole reason why they went through a mediocrity span, but that has to be a part of it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I remember because that debate started pretty early after his passing. Is whether or not to recast or retire the character. I was always kind of on the fence about it. I think it was Super Chat Rational. It did. Well, we can't play it. We'll get pulled down. Yeah, I was always kind of of two minds about it. I could up until seeing the finished product come out, I was kind of always, I could see where both sides are coming from. And it was so weird to me how, the either recast or retire T'Challa argument, they both were kind of rooted in the same concept about like the best way to pay the respects to the character and to Chadwick Boseman himself is to, and it would lead in that either to recast or to retire. And it's so
yeah, I was never on the fence. To me, there was no two minds for me.
It's like you never see that happen with like two people like making like arguing for two different things, but from the same foundation. That's you don't see that happen. So I was kind of, but then I saw it, and then that once I seen Wakanda Forever, then that kind of pushed me like, oh yeah, this movie definitely has a T'Challa shaped hole in it. This was it really suffered from like the lack of the character's presence and his family. I mean, like his brother, other family members,
and his wife.
Yeah, they came out and said like he would have been fine with with the torch being passed. So yeah, it's it's really unfortunate, and of course then adding in like what what the plans for T'Challa as a pillar of the franchise, not just in his own sequel, but in subsequent MCUs. And I mean that's it's mortality. I mean you can't. Sometimes you just gotta play the hand you're dealt as far as with people pass away, and then you have to accommodate that, and so you can't get around that. But it did leave them in a position where it's like, okay, that we, that I think also like argues for the idea of like recasting the character because of just what they had intended, and again what his his family said he would have been supportive of.
Yeah, to me, there should have never been a debate. To me, there was never another side to this. There should have never been a debate on whether you recast him or not. I was shocked when Marvel, who has a history of putting the business and the story first, made this decision. When he first passed away, I thought, okay, they need time. I understand. We need time to mourn. We need time to absorb this. But I was absolutely stunned when they took the road that they would, because I thought that it wasn't an arguable point. People die. People in your walk of life are going to die. People in your place of work are going to die. The world does not stop. Those people may mean the world to you. The world does not stop. When I go, heaven forbid it happens sooner than later, but when I go, I don't want the world around me to stop. The world will not stop. You are there as an actor and an actress to perform a function. You do not honor the dead by stopping their work. You do not respect the dead by bearing with them the work and the momentum that character meant. I thought the decision to recast should have been a 10-minute one. Now, as far as how long do you need to mourn? That's something that you could have debated. You could have debated not doing the sequel at all. But once you were going to go ahead with Wakanda Forever, there needed to be a T'Challa there, and that shouldn't have been something that anyone needed to figure out, in my opinion. And that's no disrespect to Chadwick Boseman. That's all respect to Chadwick Boseman. You're letting the work that he did, the profile that he assisted in lifting that character to. And like I've always said, we can count how many black characters, superhero-wise, on one hand that reach that level. I remember when we were promoting Black Panther, I know the percentage of us people that look like me that show up to these movies at that particular time. And when Black Panther came out, the pride and the joy of having one of us at that level was huge. And you buried that with him. You should have never, in my opinion, and I know there was an argument because I was on screens that had it and I was part of it. There should have never been an argument. There should have never been an argument. There should have never been a consideration of not carrying on. You do not respect the dead by turning everything around you into a symbol of their death. That movie was, we had already lost him, and to go to that movie and have that be what they decided to go with the movie, that ruined that movie for me. And granted, it's a good movie. Angela Bassett should have won the Oscar for it, but it's not a movie I look upon presently, and it's not one that I rewatch. I have no desire to watch a funeral. I've been to funerals, and because I had to be there. I go to the movies to be entertained. I go to the movies to be taken out. You altered your fictional story for a non-fictional event that had nothing to do with the story. There should have never been a consideration for them to do that. And I understand what they were going through. They were mourning, and people were, well, the cast would never come back. You know what? Take how much time do you need? But at the end of the day, just like everyone else that's in a job, whether it be a soldier, you lose a soldier, you mourn, you go through counseling. But at some point, the Army tells you, if you can't come back, and if it's too much, then we need to separate, get you the help you need, and we need to move on with these things that we're doing as far as the military structure goes. Everything that is in these movies is there to support the story. Once you start doing things that are not part of the story, you need to make a decision. Do you want to tell the story anymore? And that's what was. And then the decision, I thought this from the beginning. I didn't need to see Wakanda Forever to know that was the wrong decision. Seeing Wakanda Forever reinforced that because it hurt the movie. you made a decision, regardless to why, you made a decision that hurt your movie. And if it's too much of a morning burden, I understand. If you need to add a couple years on to the production for everybody so that it's not fresh, that's fine. Take as much time as you need. But once you make that decision to go forward with Black Panther, there was only one option. And it's the option his family even said. You do not honor the dead by doing what they did. And I hope that first of all, hopefully we don't lose someone in that manner and for a while, if ever. But I hope that if that ever were to happen again, think about think about the momentum, think about the work. What would Chadwick Boseman do? I don't think he would want. He knew what kind of influence he had on little black boys that were coming to the movies and seeing themselves in him. You think he wanted that to die? You think that movie was something that honored him? I don't think so. So yeah, I think that his death changed a lot of things. But if you look at just what it changed in that movie and where he was at, like I said, he was top tier. That was $1 billion movie. And in the sequel, even though I'm not a fan of the sequel overall, it did very well too. Can you imagine if there would have been a T'Challa in there? So yeah, so I'm seeing that hole now that I look at it and been like, okay, we're lacking A-listers. What have I always said? You Marvel gave you a steady diet of A-listers, and then when you ran out of the A-listers, you went in the refrigerator and got some bologna and some mayonnaise and some mustard and no bread. The fans don't want that. But now I'm like, okay, well, shit, you're one of their top guys. And even though he wouldn't have been the entirety of the Pantheon, he would have been such a major part of it that it would have made all the other characters work, in my opinion. So that loss compounds itself. I really wish they would have made a different decision because I mean, like I said, when I went to go see Wakanda Forever, the only thing I should have seen about Chadwick Boseman's death is when you open up the movie and in loving memory of Chadwick Boseman, just like there was when he passed away, he was on every comic on the top, just like Stan Lee. They had his little top preamble in loving memory of Chadwick Boseman. Every cover had it. That's how you honor somebody. You carry on their work and you honor the momentum that he gave Black Panther as a character. I just totally passionately disagreed with the road that they took. So, but I'll leave it to you. What do you think, other than what you've already said? What do you think? How do you process the impact now with their 5 years removed from his passing?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm again pretty much with you on all. It took me a little bit more like seeing the movie because, like I said, I was kind of I could see both perspectives on how to proceed with that. But seeing Wakanda Forever, it's like, yeah, it's this really and I'll bring up Aaron's comment here because it's really the way I came out of thinking like, yeah, this movie was awake. The movie felt like a 3 hour. It's about close to 3 hours long. It felt
Especially it's opening. It's opening. I almost left.
Yeah.
I almost got up and left because that opening was tough.
Because the opening is awake. The opening is they took a real life wake and made it into a fictional.
And his death.
Yeah.
It's like
it's off screen. Well, I mean,
no, it was on. Or she's going through, the anguish she's going through was on screen. They didn't show him.
Yeah,
but you got it. You got it. It was like, oh, I was contemplating getting up and leaving. I'm glad I didn't because Angela Bassett gives what I consider to be one of her best roles since Tina Turner. What's love got to do with it? She should have won. I'm sorry. I love you, Jamie Lee. She should have won your award.
And seeing seeing like kind of the way the sort of the conflict with Namor, that's where I think it really sort of stands out, like how much it began. It was envisioned in a certain way and had to transition to another to accommodate that we're retiring the character, that we're killing off the character because of the tragedy. And you really can sense that this was envisioned as like a big, a showdown between these two kingdoms. And with that, you really didn't need the, the king versus the king. You really did need the character present for that, and it's looking at it. I'm definitely of the opinion now. It's like, yes, a recasting. Now, who follows in his footsteps again? And again, knowing that you have that, the kind of that hangover. You're entering this role in the event they had recast. You're entering this role with the tragedy overshadowing it. I get that. It's like I get that. That's a lot to step into, but it's kind of like what William says. Like we deal with everybody deals with tragedy. It's unavoidable. Sooner or later, it's like we all have to.
Oh my God!
Grab what happened?
Oh, hey, hold on. Hold your thought. Hold your thought.
The bad just happened out there.
No, something really good.
Okay.
Can I do this? Guys, look at that. Can you see that? Can you see that car? All those cars?
No, you tilt it down a little bit more.
Well, hold on. Let me.
I could see like the sky.
How about now?
Oh yeah, full house there tonight.
This just erupted, dude. This came out of nowhere.
And again, for those of you, it's like you're like first time viewers. Like the William has an enormous parking lot in the lot that the Sci-Fi Center's in.
We've done dragons and stuff here.
You got like a landing strip out there, so.
All right, sorry about that. Real quick, starting off, I agree with everything you're saying, but one thing, it is not the job of the movie to do that. It is the job of the people who play the roles to do that. That is not the purpose of the movie. Whatever story you were going to tell before Chadwick Boseman passed away is the story you should have been telling when you picked it up. The job of the movie is to entertain you and take you somewhere else. The job of a funeral, the job of a wake, the job of a memorial, the job of a gathering, the job of every other thing. That is the job that is of those things to respect death, because movies aren't real. All right, there was nothing. You changed your story for something that was not part of the story. So I don't agree that Wakanda did it perfectly. Wakanda Forever did it perfectly, because I don't believe Wakanda Forever should have did it. That is not saying, and don't come at me in the comments, especially my stalkers, that I don't believe that Chadwick Boseman should be. That is not what I'm saying. So please don't get that twisted. Not you, Sona, but please don't get that twisted. I'm just saying that the film was not the place to do that. The film was not the apparatus to do that. They ruined that movie in that way. It was a quality movie that made a lot of money, but I was not entertained. If I were living where they held his funeral, I would have gone to Chadwick Boseman Memorial and I would have paid my respects there. When I go to the movies, that's not what I'm there to do. And like I said, I passionately disagree with and I don't think, to me, and people are different, but I think it's a no-brainer what should have been the next step.
Aaron says his family could have been a part of the process, and what do you think of that? Because I mean, like when Paul Walker died, I mean, no, they went a similar route.
Well, that was convenient because of the resemblance. I just think it's a studio. It's you carry on. You carry on. I don't think his family aren't filmmakers. I don't think they are. They are not part of the production process. They are not part of the casting process. We can honor this family, but filmmakers, those people that were handling that movie, needed to do their jobs. They needed to, take some time, take as much time that you need to get to the movie, but do not transform your movie into a funeral. And the people, the same people who have always handled these decisions should be the one handling that. I don't think the family necessarily should be a part of it, because unless they were part of the production before. But you're doing things in response to a death that should not be a part of the film.
Do you think, and this is something I just thought of, thank
you, Aaron.
I need to be careful how I say this, because I don't want this to come off as like I could see this coming off as like, if the studio had done this almost seem kind of like callous. But he surely, he did phenomenal in the as a character, but I mean I'm sure he wasn't the only person they looked at for initially. So do you think that it might have been like after he passed, they might have like said, okay, who else did we initially consider, and maybe they could be like have considered as like as the successor?
Possibly, depending on where we were along in that process when they figured out that.
I could see like the studio being reticent to do that in the sense of like, okay, this could come across as like, okay, he's dead, let's get like the runner up or something. But I'm saying that in a really like good as a good faith.
It's a possibility, but I would have to know how old they would be, because you're talking about 5 years from the point he was casted to the point. Okay, so Chaz, I'm going to find myself disagreeing with a lot of people, but that's fine. I don't think the audience would have accepted. That's not an option. The option when it comes to the audience accepting it is whether you want to do it, and when you want to do it, not what, when. If I would have been more okay. Gotta meet you. I would have been more okay with them postponing the movie than going the route that they took. Audience members have to deal with life anyway. There's not going to be too many audience members that haven't lost someone. There's not going to be too many audience members that have lost someone that they worked with. Did your work stop? If a cop loses his line in a line of duty, does the police force stop? And I know that may sound over dramatic, but it is a job. It is a function. People's livelihoods are at stake when you're making a movie. The quality of a movie and what it does, the people's livelihoods are on the line when you're making these decisions. So whether the audience would have accepted it, you have to make a decision. At what point is the audience ever going to accept death? No one's ever going to be able to get over somebody passing like that. But you are forced to move on, just like any other walk of life. I may want to mourn someone I lost for the next 5 years. Guess what? I got to get up. I got to go to work. I got to be part of the society. I will still respect the hell out of that person. But the world does not stop spinning on its axis. And I think if you're the content creator, there are certain things you just have to do if you want to tell your story. Because everybody is there for the story. And if you're an audience member, you have to challenge them. Okay, so someone dies, the world ends? We stop telling our story? That's not even what he would have wanted. And I have to figure the people who knew him the best, his relatives, when they said as much, probably were dead on. So I sort of agree with you, Chaz. If you needed more time, that's okay. But they didn't. They decided they were going to go forward with this movie. And the fashion that they went on with it I think was the wrong decision. It came from the right place. I'm not knocking. I understand. It came from the right place. I just think it was the wrong decision.
Did it come out, because it came out November 22? Was that when it was? Was that when it was intended to come out?
I'm figuring so, because he wasn't in any pre-production.
Okay.
I don't think they had shot anything.
But that was like the date. So even if he hadn't passed, that still wouldn't have come out.
Yeah, like I said, they may have delayed a little bit, but like I said, if you needed to delay it to the point where but at some point, even in death, the people who remain have to come back and move on. Everybody has to. When I go, the people around me will mourn me. But I have it in my will that if you can keep my fucking sci-fi center open, you use whatever insurance you use, you keep it open. I would hate for the influence and the things that I built to die with me if I could stop that. You literally buried the character when you buried Chadwick Boseman. That character was around before him. That character will be around decades after him. You're there for the story. You are there. Like I said, it wasn't the Chadwick Boseman story that we watched in Black Panther and Wakanda Forever. It was about Black Panther. So as much time as you need to refocus on what the story you were telling, if you need an extra 18 months, what the hell? if you need an extra 18 months to to handle it, I understand that. I've been in counseling situations to where we've had to do that. That's I understand. I'm not dismissing the impact of death, but even in those situations, the counseling is going on while those people are getting back to what they were doing. So yeah, I that's a and then like I said, and I understand where people are coming from. You think that carrying on may disrespect the dead. I'm going to be on the exact opposite. I think not carrying on, um, uh, you know, I don't think it dishonors. I think that's a strong term, but I don't think you do any. You don't. I don't think that you do the dead or their family any favors by letting their work just die. Chadwick Boseman died. Black Panther did not. So all right, let's see. Yeah, I agree. It just shouldn't have been there. The movie was well made. I wanted to leave. I wanted to leave, and I've never felt that way. And usually, if it's a shit movie like Mystery Men, I wanted to leave, but I couldn't because I was with fellow soldiers and I was in charge. I did not want to leave Black Panther: Wakanda Forever because it was a bad movie. I wanted to leave because that's not what I came there for. It's not what I came there for, and it was hard to get through that first 20.
Yeah, I agree, Aaron. I mean, and it's not beyond just the 20. That permeates like the whole finished product. I mean, the whole movie. Those are my exact words coming out of it. That movie felt like a wake.
Yeah. I think Neymar's character was really hurt. Adela Horta did a great job, but the biggest problem that you had is when Neymar rose to ascended to the level that he was at in the movie. There was no one there to meet him. Go ahead and try it out and see if it works. There was nowhere there to meet him. That's when the void, because Letitia Wright was not that level, and Neymar needed the King of Atlantis needed to be eye to eye with the King of Wakanda. There's a history there, and when it wasn't, that's a problem. So yeah, like I said, I understood. I don't hate the people that I don't hate the people that wanted to do that. I just think it was a mistake. So I'm going to take a real quick break. Brad, if you want to answer, because I got to deal with some customers. If you want to roll through some questions, I'll be right.
All right. Let's see what you guys got for me. Sure. You don't understand how much people were on Marvel's neck at the time if they recasted him. It was different then. Well, again, like William said, I mean, at some point, again, the character did not pass away, and at some point, when you have your mourning period, life just has to go on at some point, and that includes with creative endeavors, like what they're doing with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Shell's role in it. So, again, I could be persuaded either way in the immediate aftermath and leading up to it about whether they should have recast or retire. But once I saw the movie, I thought, yes, this really needed T'Challa. This had a T'Challa shape hold in it. And for his family members, like they were very much. Yeah, he would have been fine with the recast because the significance to me. I remember seeing the first one when it came out. I mean, just the cultural events. I mean, I'm of course not of the cultural background that really resonated with, but you couldn't see that movie theatrically and not see what that brought out. I mean, people were in traditional African tribal wear. I mean, and like one guy at my show, the first time I saw it, they all the movies, the Marvel movies at the time, all that it was like this character will return, this that Black Panther will return. Of course, then he wore it later. I'm telling you, like one guy, right when that happened, like pumps his fist in the other back. I was like, yeah, Black History Month. Yeah, Black History Month. So there's you have that as your baseline for what you tell this character. And as William said, part of like the initial wave of Marvel characters Stanley and Jack Kirby created. Wesley Snipes, I'm sure a lot of you know, before he was Blade. He was trying to get a Black Panther movie off the ground in the 90s. So it was a really long road towards this happening, and the impact that it had. I mean, it did 700 million just domestic, the first Black Panther. That's what it did domestically. I mean, you're talking about CBMs, usually they're called like a phenomenon. They do like 300 plus domestic, 700 domestic, and did like it was like 1.4 billion, I think, overall. So just with the impact that had, it's passing the torch of the character to the next torch bearer. I feel like that would have been the best way to honor impact the character and have those contributions to it. And actually, I think I've shared it on the show before, but I'll go ahead and go and pull this up now because I had a little bit of a breakout, maybe you could call it, or something going a little bit not really viral, but something kind of cool I did. When the first one was coming out, I got to this is my work with Kung Fu Kingdom. I got to interview Chadwick Boseman. Be clear about that. But I interviewed Maurice Crump, who is he's pretty well known in the martial arts movie world. He's done a lot of work with Tony Jaa, like the Tom and Gung Tu and Jiu-Jitsu. He's done work with Michael Jai White. He was awesome martial arts dude. I've interviewed him multiple times, and he was also Chadwick Boseman's trainer for the first Black Panther. So I interviewed him twice previously. So it's like, this is just a no-brainer for us. It's like, oh, let's get Maurice like to kind of get some do an interview for like this big blockbuster coming up. So we share it right here. This is my interview back in 2018 with Maurice Crump for his work training Chadwick Boseman for the first Black Panther. I'll go ahead and put the link in the chat for you guys who want to go ahead and read it. And funny thing about that too, not long after, because this came out, of course, around the time the movie was. Let's put the link in the chat for you guys. Maurice, he's originally, I think he's from Tampa. He's from somewhere in Florida originally, and so this I did went live, and not long after that, a guy from like the Tampa Times or something, he emailed me and said, I saw your interview with Maurice Crump for training Chadwick Boseman for Black Panther. Can I, you would like have any? Can you put me in touch with Maurice? Because I guess he wanted to do his own thing too. I said, okay, you can do that. I don't know if he got in touch with him for that, but I do know like he had a piece going live not too long after that where like he referenced this interview. So that was kind of fun seeing that happen, and in the midst of Black Panther becoming the phenomenon that it was. So I didn't get to interview, of course, Chadwick Boseman, unfortunately, in his time, but I did interview somebody who was a close collaborator with him, and helped craft his signature role for that. So that I do, and I of course put this out there when we got the news, and it's like he spoke very highly of him. Chad was actually quite the martial artist himself, outside of the Black Panther role. So I did. Little thing just kind of had somewhat of a connection to him. So that's something I always look back on very fondly. So we put that in the chat for you guys who want to give that a look. Put this back up here. Anyway, what else you guys got for me? Put flowers and stones on great. Yeah. I'll agree. Recast arm. Yeah. And I think I think he, as his family said, and I'm very inclined to agree. I think that probably would have been his perspective, is that the best way to honor the legacy of the character and what he did with it is to continue with the character. So they really, it was a really big misstep, I think, in not recasting and just, again, turning the sequel into a wake. It really, it just. There's so much you can see in the. I've only seen it the one time when it came out theatrically. I think William only has to, but it just stands out so much, like what the second one lacks in not having T'Challa present. And now you can make the argument that, well, they're still kind of going by because Shuri canonically in the comics does succeed him as Black Panther. Yeah, it's like you can make that case, but also, again, as William said, like if that's not what you're planning on doing in the first place, if you're just if you're rerouting to that in light of an actual tragedy, it's like you're just jumping through these hoops to alter your story in a way that just really does disservice to what he did with the character and the legacy of the character that he portrayed. Okay. Yeah, people are saying I'm cutting out. You guys hear me now? I need to get this like adapter for the microphone that William was talking about. Because again, I am on my laptop now. I'm not on my PC, so with that new Black Panther comic book, in my recast, yeah, I think like post Secret Wars, they're saying okay, there is going to be. I think because that's supposed to be like a universe, reset. They kind of feel they have, I don't know. I mean, for lack of a better term, I think that gives them like the gumption, or it feels like they feel like they have the license to, because now, okay, this is starting a new Marvel universe post Secret Wars. So I feel like they feel like maybe that gives them moral permission to do that. But again, it's like, again, look at what you find, what it ended up being in the second one. Without him, it's like, no, you needed T'Challa for that. All right, what else you guys got? Still haven't seen what. Yeah, it's yeah, it hasn't. It didn't age well while I was watching it. Well, I don't know if Maurice is living there right now, but I know I know he's from Florida. So Maurice he's a good dude. He's a phenomenal martial artist. He's done like work with Tony Jaa and Tom Young-gung too, and then Jiu-Jitsu. Worked with Michael Jai White and Welcome to Sudden Death. He needs to be a bigger star. Maurice really needs to be a bigger star than he is, because that dude is like that dude. Yeah, he is a hell of it. I hope they pull him in like one of these big ensembles, because he's awesome. You haven't seen like him work with Tony Jaa and Tom Young-gung too, or Jiu-Jitsu, or Michael Jai White, Sun Death. Look those up, because he's fantastic villain in those. How's it going, Rhea? Let's see, guys. We have a celebrity in the house. We have Jennifer Lawrence. How's it going? So, Brad, what's a movie that has come out recently that I hate? Oh, of course, Clint would ask this. Not a lot that I can think of that I actively hated or disliked. You talk about recently. Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't. Probably the best example like this year, and I wouldn't even say I hated this. Captain America: Brave New World. I didn't hate it, but I just found it very just forgettable. Especially because it's like it's trying to do like two different things. It's like it's trying to like pass the torch from Steve Rogers to Sam Wilson's Captain America, but it's also we're the Incredible Hulk 2 17 years after the fact. It's like, nah, yeah, you can't. You can't thread that needle. Yeah. So yeah, it's like, as far as like recently, again, I wouldn't say I hated it. I just found it very just forgettable, and there's just not a lot of meat to that, not a lot of impact that Brave New World had for me. So that's probably the closest thing I could say to that as far as anything recently. Again, without saying I hate
Right, man.
All right. Have a good one. We'll see you later.
All right. Okay, where are we at, guys? I'm sorry.
We're going to talk more about Chadwick Boseman. In fact, I shared the interview I did with his trainer, Maurice Crump, when the first one came out. And we also have a celebrity in the house. We have Jennifer Lawrence in the chat. So.
Yeah, no, she's been in there. I don't think you can't. That can't be part of the decision making, though. You have to because you are going to eventually have to move on. You are going to have to recast him. So you're basically delaying the inevitable. Your audience is going to be. I think people think that the audience are just some feral cats that are going to just react a certain way. You have to articulate this role meant the world to Chadwick Boseman. It meant the world to the black community. It meant the world to everybody.
I remember reading like it was like on his Wikipedia page or something like when he was like in the audition process. I mean he this was like a spiritual thing for him. I mean he prayed to get it, and he was literally thanking God that he got it. I mean that was the significance this had to him.
I think you're saying what I'm saying, but yeah, I like I said, I don't think you do that. I don't think at the end of the day, I know we're attached to Chadwick Boseman, and for everything I understand, he was a great guy. The world lost a great person, but the Black Panther was his job. The Black Panther was going to be someone else's job, and someone else after that, and someone else after that. So yeah. There was a lot of things I had a problem with, and it just felt wrong for that movie to take that tone for me. You celebrate, like I said, the best way to celebrate Chadwick Boseman's life was to carry on the most visible role he ever had. I mean, Black Panther was the most visible role he ever had. And, like I said, I understand where people are coming from, but at the end of the day, you have to make a better decision. And I think they made a decision that hurt the movie. And I would rather you not make the movie than shoehorn something that didn't belong in the movie. I would rather you just said, you know what, we're not going to make Black Panther Wakanda Forever. We're going to wait until people can accept death. And you know what? It's different for everyone. But if you want to set, 3 years, we're gonna put this on ice. We're gonna reshuffle our things, or you make the decision that the story is about the Black Panther.
Well, and I one thing I said when you stepped away is that I think that and by the way, Anthony, I did, because they said I was kind of going in and out, so I unplugged my headset and plugged it back in. I need to get that adapter for that microphone.
I could hear you, so I try to tell you that.
Well, I'm on my laptop now, so there's something.
Thumbs up. I think you got like ghosts and shit.
There's like an X factor that we're not aware of here, but
we got to find it. But go ahead. What were you saying?
One thing I said when you stepped away is that because apparently they are actually going to have a new T'Challa post Secret Wars, and I think because of the fact that that is a universe reset, that maybe, and this maybe sounds like a more crude way to put it than I intend to, but that maybe. I think internally that they feel like that kind of gives them moral permission to have a new T'Challa because it's going to be a new universe after Secret Wars.
That's what they're going to do, but I don't think you need that permission. I mean, and I think people need to be adults when it comes to this. With all this backlash, we would all love for Chadwick Boseman to be here playing the role. Are you in business to tell stories or not? And the audience needs to ask that question. Are you going to the movies to see a story or not? The Black Panther is alive and well. The character is alive and well. It is a fictional character that will be played by multiple people if need be. This backlash, I'm like, at some point, somebody has to stand up and be the adult in the room and say, we have to get back to work. Do you want to come with us? And if you cannot, we understand. But other people are going to die. People die, and it's unfortunate. I mean, here's a question here leading to that. What if Christian Bale died while making Batman? They would not recast the character. Heck, the Joker wouldn't, but they wouldn't have killed Batman in the. I don't think they would kill Batman in the. They just stopped using that character. But they would definitely recast Batman. That might end that trilogy, but right. They would definitely recast Batman. They would definitely recast Batman, or they would end that story. But you're talking about something that is confined within a trilogy and something that is part of a universe where everybody else is going to be coming to work. I mean, I just think it's a difference. Exactly. Honor the dead by carrying on their work. You honor the dead by carrying on their work. It kills me that his work stopped when he did. I think his work is bigger than just one person. Oops, we're gonna have to shut the door. Hold on, guys. Whew. I love having the parking lot that full on a Saturday night, but man, that's loud as fuck. All right. Yeah, I agree. I agree with this 100%. Wakanda Forever hasn't aged well at all. I watch movies to escape reality. Yeah, the one place I want to go to escape all the death and shit that's happening in the world, you gave it to me. You gave it to me in that one place, and it's like, no, she could not, and that's not a knock against Letitia White. T'Challa needed to be in that movie. How much longer will I be on? Probably. I plan on wrapping the show up in about maybe another 40 minutes or so. I mean, I don't mind all the hate on the movie and recasting them. It's just all talk. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think they made a mistake. Diego Soto. I heard that was the case. And once again, I understand where the intention did not come from a bad place. I understand, but I still believe it was the wrong decision. And if it was Coogler's decision, I think Marvel should have said, you know what, we're not going to do that. We understand how you feel, but we really think we need the Black Panther to tell the Black Panther story. But they went along with it. So even if it was Coogler's choice, Kevin Feige or whoever, Chapek, whoever was running things at that particular time, signed off on it. And I would have read, you know what? I would come back, take as much time as you need to get your mind and your heart where it needs to be to make this movie, or decide if you really want to do it. But when you're ready to come back to work, that's what we're doing. The story that we were telling prior to Chadwick Boseman dying is a story we're going to continue to tell. And we will book in that movie with tributes to Chadwick Boseman from front to back, post-credit scene, wherever you want. But I sorely disagree with using the movie to do that function. Even whether that's true or not, it's somebody higher up ultimately it was Kevin Feige's decision. Ryan Coogler was making a movie for Marvel Studios, so that would be Kevin Feige. Even if Ryan Coogler came in his office and said, this is what we want to do, Kevin Feige had to say yes to it for it to happen. So he had to sign on to it, so it really doesn't matter. Oh, you're bringing up that guy in here. Okay, I'm behind. Hi, Rhea, how are you doing? The Black Panther movie without Black Panther, who actually died. And like I said, everybody gave their best. It's like me making a movie about Brad with everybody but Brad in it. It's just that some things have to be there in order for them to work. You know what I mean?
You're allowed to recast me if you need to in the biopic of my life. So I'm just gonna make that clear now.
Yeah, with some 300-pound dude with no muscles and a receding headline or some shit like that.
No,
That's him.
No, we're getting The Rock play me, man.
Shit, did you seen what he did play?
Oh,
he made legit that Smasher, he may legit get nominated for an Academy Award. I'm hearing from people who've seen that, wouldn't that be the icing on the cake? That fucking speech is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Finally, The Rock has returned to the Oscars.
Yeah. And then we're gonna hear everybody's they already did that. Then everybody's gonna be saying, okay, now we need to bring him back as Black Adam. I guarantee. Hear me now, quote me later.
Oh yeah, Ryan Coogler is a tremendous talent. Like I said, I love Ryan Coogler. He did a great job.
Yeah, what he did with Sinners.
Yeah.
Do you think Chadwick Boseman do you think he would have been? I don't know if he would have been Smoke and Stack, but do you think he would have been a part of Sinners?
I think he would have been a part of it because Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler, they've gained like a circle of trust with certain people. And I think when you're going to see these people from Sinners in these other projects, and that's really cool. Once you find a rapport with people like that, and as long as they are diverse in acting, but Chadwick Boseman was on his way to being that guy, and it was just so sad that we lost him so young. Glimmer, if Feige hadn't said we're not recasting, then I think it would have happened a long time. I mean, yeah, that's what I understand. Like, regardless of what Coogler said, Feige would have been the final decision. I think he made a mistake. Like I said, and it's weird, like you're saying, it's weird because the decision didn't come from a place of evil or anything. It came from people's natural reaction to that. But at the same time, people got to look around the environment that they live in. Nobody lives forever. There's somebody at your place of work or in an organization that someone is gone, especially during COVID. The world moved on even while people were dying at thousands of people a day. There were people all around me, and we had to go on. We had to move on. We could not stop. So, yeah, I mean, it's I just think they made a bad decision. Yeah, and like I said, there's a lot of ways, but I don't think he should have ever. If you were not going to kill him. And before Chadwick Boseman passed away, then you should not have killed him in the movie. And people were like, well, sure, he ends up being a Black Panther anyway. Okay.
Yeah, I mentioned that while you stepped away.
Yeah, if that was their original plan, if they pick up that script the day before Chadwick Boseman passed away, or the day before they found out he was ill, and Shuri being the Black Panther is in that script, then I'm all for it. I'm all for it. But if you altered your course as a result to it's something that does not have anything to do with your story, then that's the wrong decision, in my opinion. And that's all due respect to Chadwick Boseman. Then don't do the movie. And Marvel didn't want to get canceled for recasting Black Panther, so it's stupid. Then just don't do the movie. That's understandable, people's emotions. But even people's emotions are up here. If you need time for people's emotions to come down here, maybe sometime to realize how important his work was, just think of it this way. All the people who are saying that there would be a backlash, what would Chadwick Boseman, if you want to tie it to Chadwick Boseman, ask yourself this. Do you think he would want that work to die? What that character meant to people at that particular time? That's why his death was so regarded that way. I don't think he would want that flame to go out. I don't know the man, but his relatives knew him, and they expressed as much. So everybody who would say, well, it's too soon, they can't do this, they can't do that. A, are you living in a world where nobody else has died, and whatever they died in, they just shut down? Your grocery store, your bank, your police force, someone's dying there from various different things. Did any of those things shut down? They shut down for the funeral. They shut down to mourn, as they should. They all went back to work. And they did not make their work about any one particular person, because that's not what they were there for. So, yeah. I mean, worst case, if they were to recast it Black Panther, to be honest with you, the MCU, in my opinion, is in a spot where, and especially then, where people trusted their decision making. I think there would have been some upheaval, but I think if you have a spine and you're running a successful multi-billion-dollar company, which they are, I think they could have absorbed that. I think they would have been fine eventually, and it would have been for the better. What's better, that they made a movie that wasn't as good as it could be because they did this, or them waiting and recasting? Yeah, are they? They didn't even. They could have just, with the next movie, that's T'Challa. You don't have to explain why it's not Chadwick Boseman because that's not part of the story. Whoever's playing that character is still the Black Panther. That is the story. It's like on a soap opera when they would switch people out. They would just all they would tell you is that the role of so and so is being played by this person. That's it. That's what you got. And because you were there for the story being told, you went with it. They should have delayed Black Panther 2. Yep. Do what you needed to do other than change your story. Because, like I said, I mean, like I said, I just think I'm not going to say you're killing a person twice because that's overkill. But something else is dying besides the person. That stature and that character, you put it on ice for reasons that were not the story, and I think that hurt. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. T'Challa, Reed, Doctor Strange, Black Bolt. I would have hated that. Ryan Coogler is there for the story that Marvel hired him to tell. I would have hated to see him go. He is a brilliant filmmaker. He is a brilliant director. But if Ryan Coogler comes to me and tells me he can't do his job, with consideration of what happened, with delays, with time in between for things to heal, if at the end of the day Ryan Coogler comes to me and tells me he cannot do the job, he cannot tell the story that I hired him to tell, then you don't have a choice but to let him walk. Because you set a precedent for that to happen again. Because guess what? Newsflash, people die. And you set a precedent for the work to stop, for the world to stop. And you can't do that. You're either in business or you are not. So as much as I adore and respect Ryan Coogler, if I'm Kevin Feige and he comes to me and that's his decision, I would say, I understand, Ryan. I can respect your decision. We're going to have to move on to a different filmmaker. We are here to tell a story. You are hired to tell a story. Everybody from the caterer, the cameraman, gaffer, sound engineer, makeup person, the actors, the actresses, the stuntmen, the stunt women are all there to tell the story. Every single one of those person is there to tell the story. They are an asset to tell the story. No one person is the story. The story is about Black Panther. That's the priority. You mourn Chadwick Boseman. You honor Chadwick Boseman, but you don't stop the work. And like I said, I would, if Ryan Coogler had come to me and said that, I hope to work with you again. I understand where you're coming from, Ryan, but we have a job to do. We have work to carry on. This is what we do. This is what we do. This is what we brought you here to do. And if you're telling me you can't do that, I understand. I don't hate you. I when the next project that comes up, if you want it, and I'm not gonna burn any bridges. I'm not gonna call any names. I understand where all this is coming from, but at the same time, how are you going to run your business now? How are you going to run a business where you're telling fictional stories if every real life event can stop your storytelling? You may just go and do documentaries. And I don't mean to come off as unfeeling. Dude, when I first heard that he passed away, I didn't even know he was sick. It was like somebody walked up and punched me right into the solar plexus.
Yeah, nobody, other than his family.
Yeah, it still hurts. It still hurts. But my grief should not stop the world. Domino's Pizza. Hello. Thank you for calling the Sci-Fi Center.
Anthony says, William, I was of the mind, in my opinion, that had they recast Black Panther, they should have pushed back Wakanda Forever till after Secret Wars Doomsday in the next phase. Yeah. It's a long time to push it back. I get that. So wait for William to come back on and I'll ask this question to him. Well, William, Anthony's got one here for you. I just pulled up. William, I was of the mind, in my opinion, that if they had recast Black Panther, they should have pushed back Wakanda Forever till after Secret Wars of Doomsday in the next phase.
Whatever they needed to do to keep the cohesion of their story. And if they didn't think they could keep the cohesion of their story, then don't do the movie. Because I understand where the other side is coming from. I can completely understand. All of us can. We've all lost.
It's not a malicious opinion at all.
Yeah, I understand. So you guys that are saying, well, they would. No, I don't agree with you, but I understand where it's coming from. You are human beings with compassion, and you care about, life and death. That is understandable. All of us do. But we all have to pick things up and move on. And the one thing I did not want to leave on the ground to die is the work he did. I just don't understand how you would how any fan would want you to honor him by stopping his work. That's his legacy. That's the highest profile role he would have probably ever had. And we went without it. We moved on without T'Challa. Someone else needed to put on that costume and stand on what Chadwick Boseman built. And especially because he's not here. The impetus, the highest priority should be you honor him by because that next guy who fills those shoes only has shoes to fill because of the guy before him did a knockout job and established the character. Nobody would have ever forgotten Chadwick Boseman. But yeah, I just disagree with what happened. It's not it's not like a Snyder or anti-Snyder conversation that we usually have where we just say, fuck the other side type of situation. I understand the other side. And you're not entirely wrong of how you feel. It's what was done. It's the execution of what was done is where your emotions that you have are valid emotions that a human being should have. It's where those emotions led Ryan Coogler and Kevin Feige is where I have a disagreement.
Well, and one thing I mentioned when you stepped away is that, of course, there's a lot of people know, there's a long history of trying to realize a Black Panther movie like Wesley Snipes, before he was Blade, he was trying to get a Black Panther movie off the ground in the 90s. Now I don't think that would have hit I think if that came out in the 90s, I think that probably would have done about as well.
I think that would have bombed, unfortunately.
I think that would have done about as well as the first Blade, but that kind of illustrates what you were saying about Black Panther was of that first wave of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby Marvel characters that sort of helped shape what the Marvel universe was in comics. And so the fact that there was effort even in the 90s to realize a Black Panther movie, it just shows that the significance of his his importance in the comic book world, and then the fact that again that he had the apparatus of an interconnected franchise like the MCU. I mean that provided the support system for it to get, because it doesn't in the 90s, it doesn't do 700 million domestic
it doesn't do them because like I said, the infrastructure that the Marvel had set up for themselves. By the way, it's the infrastructure that people think they set up for DC, which I disagree with, but they had set themselves up to where they could bring characters in like Black Panther and have the support network, and they could treat him like he would, like Jack Kirby and Stan Lee treated him when they designed the character and put him out there. There was a lot more that he wanted to do with that character. It was Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, especially Stan Lee, wanted to tell stories that they could not get through the editors because of what was going on in the 60s. By the time Black Panther T'Challa, Black Panther precedes the organization Black Panther.
Yeah. There's a misconception. There's a misconception that he was named after the Black Panther Party. That's not the case.
And the thing about Black Panther, which was so important to have T'Challa in whatever you have, is, let's be honest, when it comes to movies that have black folks in them, a lot of times, and during certain eras, there's a lot of stereotypes. Yes, we have broken through in a lot of different ways, but then in a lot of different ways there was there. And when you're talking about the 60s, the stereotypes in the 60s, here you have this piece of royalty this guy who's not coming from the hood. And in the movie, they articulated that perfectly. He's coming from royalty. He's coming from a technological wonderland. He is a king. He is a king, and when you address him as a king, no matter where you're from. When you see him in Civil War, they're addressing him as royalty. They're addressing him, and for people in the '60s and throughout his Black Panther's existence, especially people of color, to see that character handled that way, to see the respect that character was given. Like I said, they didn't do some hack movie. They didn't do a Marvels or anything when they did Black Panther. They did Black Panther. They put him on the pedestal that Stan Lee and Jack Kirby designed for him to stand on, and that was one of the most important things out there. And that's why I think when we were having this discussion about the hole that's in the MCU, I think they did that because they meant for him to fill a wide space, and it's just unfortunate that the consequences of death. Chadwick was in great underrated series called Persons Unknown. I recommend it, similar to Wayward Pines from Lost. Okay.
Yeah, he was also in the last thing I saw him before he passed away was what was the cop movie he did? 21 Bridges. It was actually the Russos produced that. They actually did a lot of outside of the MCU, like post Endgame, they did a lot. They also produced Everything Ever All at Once. They also producers on why is the name escaping me now? The Chris Hemsworth Netflix one.
Black Hat.
No.
Oh, Extraction.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So they
those are fun, but those are really bad.
They got the one shot action scenes. Dude, it's like I'm sold. When you throw one of those at me, it's like I am down. But anyway, so they outside of they maintain their relationship with the with their Marvel cast, in their non-Marvel work, and they kind of said, these are these other kind of action movies you guys are doing. That's how your superhero roles. So they lent a lot of clout and a lot of credence to that. And yeah, that was the last thing I remember seeing him in was before the news was 21 Bridges. That was pretty good. I thought it was pretty. It's kind of like it was almost kind of like it felt like almost like a trip back to the '90s or even to the '80s because like you don't see like these hardboiled like cop movies like he used to. It was like, he was pretty good. I did enjoy that. I remember actually it got a little bit of like not like a controversy, but there was when the poster was first released, it caused people to kind of roll their eyes a little bit because the poster had the tagline on the end of the poster said, "In a city on lockdown, he's the only Avenger they can count on." Yeah, it's like everybody could tell, like, okay, you're definitely riding the coattails of his signature role there. I think they clarified later on that was like the internal like sales poster that wasn't meant to be like the finished product. But still, it's kind of like okay, it's like a little bit of SEO there. But I did like that. I did enjoy the 21 Bridges. Actually, my favorite scene in that movie is the kind of the scene in the kitchen between him and J.K. Simmons where he finds out the cops are the ones selling the drugs and like they kind of share their two perspectives. Like he's saying like we were doing this because like we're not getting paid enough. It's like we're getting screwed. And he comes from his perspective. It's like, yeah, the drugs are going to cause violence and the blood can't be on us. So yeah, 21 Bridges of that. I did enjoy that. Liked it quite a lot. Well, he's talking to somebody else on the phone now. So tell him that when he gets back. Majesty King T'Challa, yeah. Yeah. He's referred to, I mean, that first like foot chase in Civil War, he takes off his helmet and Captain America calls him Your Highness. What else you guys got here? Yeah, I would have, but like as William said, you're stepping into shoes that only exist because of what your predecessor did. It's big shoes to fill, but also those shoes are non-existent other than what the legacy he left with this character. So it's kind of it's a big challenge, but also a big opportunity. It's big. It could be argued like it's a great honor to carry on that legacy because again, these are shoes that not only are you filling, but they would not be there to fill it all if he hadn't established that. So. Yeah, they should have. Yeah. Well, and where'd that go? Oh, I guess that image. I guess it wasn't able to stay up anymore. Yeah. If you casted Thunderbolt Ross as villain for Andor, what are you saying? They shouldn't have cast Harrison Ford? Well, again, I'm gonna ask William this when he comes back, because that's another example of like someone who actually did die. Now he's not playing one of the headline characters. He's not playing an Avenger, William Hurt. But no, it's just me now. But he's again, they responded to that in the way that he said, okay, we've got more plans for this character. We're not just going to let that die with him. So recast. That's what they did. Yeah, like I said, even his family was also they were in favor of it, and they said he would have been. I don't think the general audience even knows that Harrison Ford is playing. Well, I mean, people can tell the difference, like looking at them, from William Hurt to Harrison Ford. But the pizza got there. Okay.
All right. Whoever bought me this pizza, and I'm pretty sure it was a viewer. Thank you. That's a pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
I was struggling to see what I was going to do for dinner tonight. Yeah, shut up. So that solved my dinner problem. It's not even a burger, you knucklehead. Thank you. That solved dinner for me. So, where are we at? So yeah, those are the two major topics I had. Troma and that. All right.
Well, and I kind of brought up a couple comments here about it's like, yeah, I mean, bring it to another like a death of a MCU cast member. William Hurt passed away. They did recast with Harrison. Now, as I said, he's not an Avenger, General Ross, but the fact they recast, I mean, obviously that signals they had further plans.
Well, in the upcoming movie, Black Panther was upcoming. It was in pre-production, and once again, I agree that the decision should be roughly the same no matter what. William Hurt was a beloved actor. Academy Award winner. Kiss of the Spider-Woman was one of the better movies put out there. William Hurt was a great goalkeeper. He was, he was William Hurt. There's more I need to say. And we'll miss him. And he should be risked. He should be mourned. He should be constantly remembered. But William Hurt, actors are about legacy. It was a role he played. Ross was a role he played. Black Panther was a role to Chadwick. Now, he was the first to play him, and there's always going to be a special connection. I understand. But if we could bring him back and ask him that one question, do you want your work to just end? Would you rather carry on? And maybe people, if they could have heard that, his family saying it should be enough.
I mean, it's like when Christopher Reeve, like when when he passed or when he has accidents, like, do we just not make Superman movies anymore? And would he want that?
Yeah, and even if you're living, once you've moved on from a role, you've made your mark. You've made your mark, and it's, because there's no guarantee that Chadwick Boseman wouldn't have turned 50 or 60 and decided, you know what, I want to do other roles. This takes up too much of my thing. And guess what? But because he tragically passed away, that's what we remember, and that's, but like I said, in either instance, someone else is going to have to eventually pick up that role. Now, if you wanted to take time, I understand, but I disagree with not at least doing the it'll be recasting. And I think a lot of people that I talk to who are of the, they shouldn't do it. They had to see the movie and see what a whole they had to fit that movie. That 15 minutes of dread. That is not what I showed up for.
Yeah, I think the perspective since its release, I think the perspective has shifted significantly to, I don't know if it's the majority perspective now, but I think you see more people say in hindsight they would have preferred a recast, or they would have felt like a recast would have been like the best step forward after the
rational. That's rational. Thank you.
Oh, rational.
Thank you.
Yeah, send me a pizza.
Anybody who feeds me is in my good book. You're all in my good book, by the way. You don't have to buy, but thank you. My schedule today was flummoxed. I was supposed to go see Toxic Avenger. I've had a lot of Canadians. They're in here for something. But I've had a lot of Canadians, and my Canadians, let's just say that they haven't been as plentiful. So I had somebody coming in from Vancouver that was not supposed to be here the next week, but they're here now, and they decided to come in, and we got to talking. I can run my mouth, loosen up that wallet, and then all of a sudden it was like 3, and 4. I was like, oh shit. Then I had to get the show ready. Then I had to make sure that all of our guests, because I had more guests scheduled, but 2 of them had scheduling conflicts. So we will get them. But the one I really want to get in was Zach, because of I had met him before, and I really wanted people to look at his podcast. And then I want people to go get Troma Now. I mean, the worst you could do is get a month free. If you don't like it, you don't have to re-up. But I think in the privacy of our own home, without the stigma that Troma carries with it sometimes unfairly, I think that there's going to be some stuff in there that people are going to enjoy. So, but yeah, those are the only 2 things I had tonight, and I knew both of those things were going to take. That's why I didn't even put another subject on there. If you notice, it's just two primary things that I really wanted to spend time on. Like I said, we will get Era and I will get with you off a line about rescheduling, and because like I said, Wicked being a 3-hour movie, I didn't realize how long that movie was. That's going to be utterly fucking painful.
Yeah, we really need to do those 2 like on their own days for Mystery Men.
Yeah, we might have to separate. I know we are definitely doing Bring Her Back on Monday night. That's not a problem at all. That's just an open schedule, and then Tuesday we're back at it for Alien Earth, and then Thursday is Peacemaker episode 3, which also airs the same time as Dexter. By the way, Dexter, people who write Dexter, you know how I feel about Dexter New Blood. Go watch those streams. Yours, whatever episode minutes left from redeeming yourself, and this Dexter resurrection has been excellent. And I had my misgivings. I'm like, oh, you motherfuckers. What did you do? How are you doing this? How are you even doing this, by the way, given how New Blood ended? And they came up with some bullshit way to figure it out, but I don't mind because it got the story kicked off. The dumbest cop from New Blood, we made his return. Sort of redeemed himself, but he's still dumb. And dumber than he should have ever been, because that Angel Batista is really smart. He's a really good detective. And towards the end of the Dexter series, they made him look like Elmer Fudd with a blindfold on. So I'm glad that got a little bit tightened up. But yeah, I'm enjoying Dexter. I'm almost caught up on. I think I'm one more episode away from. I did watch the last episode of Strange New Worlds, and man, I did not like that episode. You were right, Clint. I did not like that episode. But there's been plenty of episodes in here that I did like. William, who do you think Tramiel Tillman is playing in Spider-Man 4? I hope I pronounced that right. And why would they keep who he's playing a big secret? Maybe as a Kingston stuff. I don't know. It may be a character that's a major plot point that if you know who they're playing, that might give away the plot, part of the plot that they don't want to give away yet. I'm just guessing, but I don't know. They're keeping a lot of Spider-Man other than the actual pictures of him shooting. They're keeping a lot because they're shooting the shit, and they've already casted these people, and they're letting you know trickle by trickle who's in the movie. I mean, everybody but Peter fucking Parker. But yeah, whoever gets the child, like I say, he carries the mantle, and they'll do it in their own special way, And then that person after him will do it, and that person after them, and it'll become that legacy. Each one of these people will carve their way into it. All right. LeBron James is part owner of Blaze Pizza. I've seen people do reviews, and they have book following that pizza. Ooh, never heard of it. Hold on. Okay. Let's see. All right, Aldous Hodge is really good. I think they might already have somebody, but there's a lot of good people.
I really dug him as Hawkman. I really want to see. I really hope we see more of his Hawkman.
Gary Payton,
maybe he's one of the cameos, and in Peacemaker season 2 in this last episode.
Did you answer?
Oh no, I didn't. And he's actually again, Noy Williams. All of this. He's actually quite the martial artist, Aaron. He's involved in several different disciplines. So, yeah, maybe.
I don't think either one of these movies were horrible. I thought Eternals made some decisions that they really shouldn't have done. I thought they should have kept it more closer to what the Eternals are, making them androids and robots and shit. I what the fuck. And then the characterization that they did of the Celestials was not one I agree with. But there was still stuff in that movie. I did not hate Wakanda Forever because I thought it was a bad movie. I hated it because of the decisions that they made they took me out of it. That took me, as somebody who went to the movie to enjoy some fictional shit. They put me in a place that I don't want to even be in, even if I have to. Who elects to go to a funeral? You know? Yeah, I didn't know that until Aaron told me, because I was going to do them back to back, and then she told me that Wicked's like 3 hours long. And I'm like, what are you doing, Wicked for 3 hours? Holy!
I enjoyed it. I'm not going into it like a Wicked expert like Aaron, but I did. Here's. I wonder if you want to talk about this at all, because this came much to Aaron and my and Perp's chagrin. The delay of MK2 to. It was going to come out October 24th. Now it's on May 15th. Now the reasoning for that has been, and I admit this is like, again, they're putting in May. That's like early summer slot. The reasoning is they actually have a lot of confidence in this. Again, the reactions have been very strong from to the, and I actually know a few people who have seen some early cuts of MK2, so who have spoken very highly of it. So apparently the reasoning is they wanted to kind of give it like the prime kind of summer slot they could for it, because they feel like that they get the most most box office bounty out of that. So yeah, it kind of sucks waiting that long, but I don't know. It's like
they could move it. They could move it to another year. It wouldn't matter for me. So, but yeah, for those of you who are waiting for it, there you go. It's going to go in the summer blockbuster Memorial Day slot, which is fine. I mean, if they have that much confidence in it, well, more power to them. You should move your movie to where you think you can make money. I'm not going to go see it, but I know plenty of people who may. So there you go. They canceled Dexter Original Sin season 2, and that's not for a bad reason. The reason why they canceled Original Sin, because a lot of what they were going over in the prequel was happening in a present day series. It was redundant to have Original Sin when you can, if you're going to do a contemporary Dexter, you can just save that money and just have flashbacks in the contemporary. That's I think, and I think the response to a Resurrection. Hold on. To Resurrection is why they did that. So that's my opinion, at least. All right, Joe's White Breaking Bad. Seeing Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa, Black Panther is life changing for me. I watched most of his movies. T'Challa changed my life. There's a lot of people who were not, and I tell you, a lot of black folks that, there's a lot of us that are in the genre, but there's a lot of us that listen, and this is natural. And it goes back to my dad. And if we're not in it, we don't watch it in a lot of cases. That's not all exclusively, but a lot of entertainment is about relatability. You see yourself on that screen. You see yourself in that situation. And for a lot of people who were not going to these kind of movies because they could relate, that Black Panther gave them that end. Black Panther gave them that doorway to that world. And even if that's the only superhero movie you're going to see, it's going to be one where you see things being addressed that aren't being addressed in a superhero movie. Not a sidekick character. No offense, Falcon. He is a regal main line. He is the title character of the movie. Not a sidekick, not a supporting character, not a roadie, not anything. Like, he is the Black Panther. The movie's called The Black Panther. He is top billing. Whoever takes on that role is going to be the star of that movie. So yeah, it changed a lot of people. It made me, look at things in a different way, because I was just in the genre no matter what, because that's what I grew up in. But now coming to that understanding that, like I said, when you do the counting of how many top tier superhero movies that are headed by a black person in the modern era, I don't even count Blade. Not for the reasons you guys think, because I'm talking in the modern era of superhero movies where we recognized them as those type of movies. So I'm going from post X-Men on, not where, I didn't know that was a comic book movie. No, you knew these movies that were released from 2000 on, they're comic book movies. That is what influences decision making. And since 2000, I mean, you had Halle Berry as Storm, but that was in an ensemble movie. Who have we had, people of color, who have we had that headlined a movie of that budget, of that draw, and of that importance? Black Panther, who else? It's not a lot.
You had, Blank Man. That's about it. And it's not even technically a comic book movie.
So we basically haven't had much.
Yeah, that's the point I'm making. And then you did the
Blank Man is, I really could have.
I mean, Damon Wayans. I mean,
without the Blank Man reference.
I mean, he was a star, so.
But remember, I said big budgeted Regal type. That's a spoof. Meteor Man, all that stuff. That's not. I'm not saying those. I'm talking about how we view comic book movies today. With our expectation of comic book movie making today, how many of us do we have? And I know people, it doesn't matter. It does. And Black Panther shows you it matters. That recognition matters. That relatability matters. That identity matters. People may not like it all the time, but that doesn't mean it doesn't matter. Senior Nerd, how you doing? Like I said, I don't know enough about this movie other than the fact that everyone is in it. It's like the second Odyssey. So I got to see. I got to see what is. William, I was watching Comics Explained, and he said the Eternals, the original ones, when they first debuted, androids, not humanoids. No, because Jack Kirby created them. Yeah, the Eternals were basically, they weren't androids, they were experiments. They were experiments that the Celestials came to Earth doing the first host, and experimented upon the the life that was here on this planet, and they the Eternals and the Deviants and all those come from those experiences. The Skrulls come from the Deviant gene that they inputted in those characters on different planets. But no, the Eternals were a creation, of the Celestials. And as far as I know, everything I've ever read, they were not machine. They were humanoid. That's why I was not a big fan of that shit. Domino's. I haven't had Domino's in a minute. So. Wicked 2049. Yeah, whatever, dude. They just killed the momentum. I did it have any momentum other than you diehard guys?
It did. It absolutely.
Other than you diehard guys.
I could tell William's definitely not in the Mortal Kombat fandom at all.
But you got to be objective here. If they thought that it had momentum that it could generate on its own, it would stay in October.
Yeah, but again, if they feel like they could put in their prime summer slot too, I mean, I could see their argument for it. Like, this is where we can like.
I don't think it kills the momentum because I don't think there was momentum. I don't think the inside momentum that you guys share is enough to, if you guys are going to go see the movie no matter when it's released. You're talking about the general audience, and be objective. Whether you like something, do you think the general audience, the momentum was like, is going to break their back as far as seeing this movie goes? No, they're probably going to see it whenever it comes out, if they're going to see it at all. I don't think the momentum is hurt by this at all. Probably a better business decision.
And for you, other guy, real cool Blank Man T-shirt. Yeah, but that part of shit. Blank Man and other guy.
Let's see.
I want to speak to the commissioner. Duh, I'm a crime fighter. Your name is like, I don't have a name yet, but I'm leaning towards Brother Man. Now I'm not leaving, gosh darn it, until I see the commissioner.
I mean, I don't care enough about Mortal Kombat to even make that bet for it. So there.
Again, I know people. I know people like some in the business who've seen who've gotten the chance to see the cut of it. It's like they've spoken very enthusiastic.
I mean, they don't have. It's not a high bar.
And again, it's not people who worked on the movie, by the way.
Yeah. By the way, but like I said, it's not a high bar. If you saw the last one, it's only up from there. So it's not
the
like
bar is 95, which remains one of the greatest video game movies ever made, contrary to what William will tell you.
Sure. Sure. Backgrounds look badass. You guys too. I'm just going through the Meteor Man. Yeah, Meteor Man. There you go. Listen. Yeah, but it's not Black Panther. Okay.
Well, that's the point. I brought that up to make a point. Where it's like, yeah,
I couldn't make it through 25 minutes of that.
You talking about the new one?
Yeah,
I haven't seen it yet. Wonder Meg loved it, so
I sinned about 22 minutes, and I didn't hate it, but I just didn't feel drawn to the rest of it. I'm like, something else came up, and it was that I was so thinly held to it that it was like, oh, okay. I'll get back to it.
Does it have a lot of people getting kicked and punched and chopped in it?
Well, a lot of chopping, but it's like
I'll probably dig it then.
I didn't hate it, by the way. I'm gonna get back to it. I just couldn't. Sometimes when you're watching something and it's like it's not necessarily the pace you thought, and then something else happens. I got an email check. I got something to do. I got and I go back to it. It's on streaming.
Yeah, I'm with you there, Aaron. But again, might be worth it.
I'm sorry. Right, ass. I don't know if that's a compliment or not. Once again, though, trailers don't always correlate. Look how many people, 250 million people. Oh, Superman's going to make $1 billion because so many people saw a trailer. And I always ask people, as we get further into this internet age, not what we did 2 years ago, as we go forward, how much does it cost to watch a trailer? There's no commitment there. It's free. I could watch 10 trailers of some stupid ass shit. Just because, you know what? I could leave my YouTube on autoplay and watch some dumb rom-com trailers. It's free. It's not going to cost me anything. No commitment there.
I think Williams, he's like, guys, it's remorse. It's like dealing with remorse.
Remorse that I promoted and watched that movie. I saw the original one, and it wasn't that good.
Of his dreams, it's like he has to process this, guys. So it's like,
you know what I processed? You know what I processed? Mortal Kombat 1. That's what I processed.
We're going to pull him into Fatality Nirvana in May, Aaron. We will bring him over in May.
You won't, because I'm not even going to waste the time.
He will pen the apology letter to me and you. It's like, I'll read it on letter for us.
Sure. Yeah, coming from insiders. You guys are all talking to yourself. And I don't care. Listen, fucking Mortal Kombat could come out and make $3.5 billion. None of it's coming from me. You had your chance at the first one. It sucked, save for a couple of fight scenes, and you lost me at that. I have no desire to see it. Now, if you guys want to go see it, great. It's just not something I talk about on this show because why would I talk about something that doesn't interest me? You've seen what happens. For those of you who used to talk about this, you've seen what happens when I talk about shit that I don't give a fuck about.
We're telling you, William, it's lame to not be.
Fucking bad. You want to force me into a conversation I don't want to have because I don't care. Sorry. I mean, you want me to care about? You want a fiend caring about something I don't care about? That's genius. Let's see. Sure. Tekken. Okay. Well, I'm not going in there.
Tekken. I love Tekken too.
Like I said, I don't. You don't have to like Fantastic Four. I did. I enjoyed Fantastic Four. Yeah, you have as much right not to like Fantastic Four as I do not to care about Mortal Kombat. Like I said, I sat through the first one for free, and I wanted a refund. All right.
Yeah, again, I'm telling you guys, like he's still. Those are the key part. Those are the pillars of the 21. And they've said, okay, we just make the whole movie like that now. William, he has to process that they've done that.
It's like, I don't have to do anything. Just like people don't have to love Blade Runner 2049 because I do. You either like it or you don't. Everybody's different. I watched Mortal Kombat. I didn't think it was a very good movie. In fact, I think it was a really bad movie. That was my opinion. When you make a bad movie and then you talk about a sequel, well, damn. I mean, fool me once, shame on me. or shame on you, whatever the fucking saying goes.
Yeah,
It won't be a twice.
We'll be having a very good conversation with William about this in May. So
No.
just process it. And
I processed you.
we'll be seeing Scorpion. If you're talking about it still comes out before Brand New Day. So seeing a Scorpion with get over here Scorpion before Scorpion and Brand New Day. Even with the delay to May.
Yeah, like I said, there's time. My time in life is limited. My time in my day is limited. Why the fuck would I go see something that I just am not interested in when I can't even see the things I'm real? Dude, I was supposed to go see Toxic Avenger today. That got fucked up. So yeah, I mean, it's just people like what they like, man. It's just like, and like I said, when you're on a platform like this, the one thing when I watch other shows, the one thing that will make me turn your shit off in a heartbeat, one of the things, is if I get the feeling that you're just going through the motions. You're just talking about stuff because somebody else was talking about it. If I can feel, if you're the host and I get the feeling that you don't give a fuck about this, but you saw it on somebody else's thumbnail and somebody says you should cover it, but if you're not behind it, you don't care. It bleeds out in your shows. It bleeds out. You can see the mannerisms aren't there. The desire to talk about it is not there. The cadence in your voice is not there. You can see those things. So you're up on your show talking about something you don't care about, but you want your audience to care about it. You're the vessel in which that happens. So I would rather a host just not cover it. If you don't fucking care about it and you're not a news channel, then just don't. Otherwise, I get the cardboard figure up there with the moving lips, like so-and-so happened and it was been reported and so-and-so, and what's your reason for talking about it? Not because you care about it, which you should be doing on your platform, because somebody else covered it. Somebody else cared about it. I mean, if you guys want to talk to Brad about Mortal Kombat, that's fine. But I'm not in that conversation. I saw the first one. It's a bad movie. I'm not going to see the second one. You guys enjoy it. But there's no converting me over that because your time to convert me was in the first movie and it didn't do it.
Again,
but I'm not going to. You're not going to hear Mortal Kombat come out of my mouth because I have told you I don't care about the movie. You guys should not want me to cover stuff that I don't care about. You want me to waste your time like that? No, come on. I value your time. All right, Brad play video games on WCW versus the World. Atari, oh man,
a long time ago. No, he is not. Hiroyuki Sanada is not. He's still very, very, very good at. I mean, he's the opening and the beginning of the 21. And
we're rolling at 3 hours, so I don't think we're going to do open panel tonight. By the way, guys,
Shogun. I still need to give that show a look, but I hear really good things about Shogun.
Shogun it's a long watch. I got through it. I watched it as a little kid. Obviously, this version of it is better. It's a long watch, though. It's a lot of.
How many episodes?
I think it was 8, but it's I think it was. I can't. I watched it on what was it? It was on Hulu. I think it was on Hulu. It was one of the last things I watched on Hulu. But because Anna Asari is in it. She's in Godzilla, not King of Monsters, but she's in Monsterverse. What's the show she's in? Damn it! But she's in that show. She's the daughter in that show. So I watched it because she was in it. So, William is a man of color. That's me. I'm asking this question from the outside. Which movie do you feel exploited the black community more, Blackenstein or well, both of them equally? Both of them equally. But here's the thing: Undercover Runner was made by black folks, as far as I know. Blackenstein. Nobody was complaining when Blackenstein was getting released because you know why? Because AEI or AIP, whoever was American Entertainment Pictures who was making Blackula and Blackenstein, guess what it had in it? Black people at the top of the bill. Black people playing the title characters. We didn't need Dracula. We had Blackula. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. We had our own. We were at the top, and you got to realize this was the late '60s, early '70s. You have to realize I wasn't there. But if you look at our history and entertainment and segregation and all the stuff that you coming out of the 60s and into the 70s with, these were, this was a way to get black folks that were in that market. These movies were made and directed by black people. It's goofy now when you look back at it because Blackula, I'm sorry, it's a bit on the racist side because it was made in LA. It was made during the 70s. So the cops, it's just a bunch of dumb white cops in it, and they made them dumb and stupid because the perception of in LA it goes with the history. So they were harsh. A little bit of homophobia in there too because Blackula kills a gay guy, and obviously they dropped the F word like it's nothing in there. It's like it was a different time, so I think that both of them exploited. But there's a difference between when you're talking about blaxploitation. At that time, it's black folks. William Marshall was a theatrical performer being put in the title role as a black version of Dracula. That was big in 1972. That was big. So now we look at it, it's like, oh, that's exploitation. But like I said, it was putting black folks at the top of the bill. Like Willie Dynamite, Dolomite. Dude, these movies were hugely successful. So, yeah, looking at it in the rest of it, they all exploited black folks. But, made stars out of a lot of them, too. Some crazy stereotypes. Yeah, but it was stereotypes, it was over the top and you understood it. But like I said, I'm speaking of it as a Generation Xer who were not there when most of these movies were released. That was stupid. And that was another WWE ID event. And as soon as that went public, WWE dropped that promotion. What the fuck are you thinking? I don't know if they were doing it just to get on TV or just to get in a news character. It's not funny. That dude's still recovering in the hospital. And if one of those wrestlers hadn't gotten him off of him in time, we could be talking about murder. We could be talking about a dead wrestler. And he needs to be persona. He never needs to step into a wrestling ring again. Ever. There's no way. And if I'm a wrestler, I'm not getting in the ring with that. He's not trained. He's not disciplined. He's not a wrestler, for one. He's a combat sport. He's a UFC fighter or a combat sport. He does not belong in the ring without training. So you're going to put him in your promotion just to the thinking behind that is like, oh, we'll make some headlines. So WWE, who accredited that organization, pulled their accreditation on that. So yeah, that's not a good. All right, we're talking video games here, guys. I think we can figure out the F word. I'm not saying it on stream, but they go watch Blackula and you'll see the word I'm talking about because they use it several times, and it's the cops using it as they investigate the dead person, and it's like, wow. But it was the 70s. We had a different mentality. I'm not saying it was right because I hear it and I'm like, wow, did he really fucking say that? But you got to realize, I grew up in an era where being gay got you killed. And I'm not joking. And when I was growing up and a kid, and all the way up until the late 90s in a lot of cases, look up Matthew Shepard, what happened to him. I grew up in an era and came to young adulthood in an era where being out as gay that endangered your life, especially if you did not have a community to cohabitate with, and that's why a lot of the venues and things like that were exclusive because you felt safe. But outside of that community, a lot of people lived in the term in the closet. But I grew up to where if you were suspected, it wasn't accepted, and your life was in danger in some cases. Like I said, Google Matthew Shepard, and that happened in the late 90s. But that was a high-profile case. It was happening to people everywhere. So when you see some movies that are dated, you got to realize that they were in a different world and it was different. Now it's no big deal. It's not even a stigma. I mean, people, other people still look at down on other people for a lot of other things, but your life is not as in much danger as I understand. Like, it's not it's not as bad as it was when I was growing up. So yeah, that word being thrown around in the 70s was nothing new. Who's this? Somebody sending me text messages. Oh, somebody commenting on one of my photos. What's crazy is that the guy who Raja, we got about a couple more minutes, who got Raja off of him, as a fighter said, he would have wasted him if he wasn't so tired. Yeah, because your wrestling community, like I explained before, is a tight community. Everybody needs everybody for the promotion. If I go out, if Brad's wrestling for me and I go out and stiff arm Brad and break Brad's arms, legs, Brad can't work. And you know how that feels as a performer. You're like, that guy can't make money now. That guy can't, supplement his income if he's a full-time wrestler. Or if that guy's a part-time wrestler, you've just heard him. He's got to go back to his job now. He can't because you were careless. So they all know that could happen to them by accident. And when somebody does it on purpose, yeah, that's like somebody attacking the brotherhood. It's a risky business to begin with when you add that. And that's an outsider. Rajah Jackson's an outsider. He is not a wrestler. So that was so scary to watch the other day. Yeah, he headbutted him. It was blood. Yeah. He's lucky. Rajah's lucky that a bunch of those guys just didn't get a hold of him and seriously hurt him. So, yeah. I'm hoping this is the Jordan Peele one, right? Him. We're giving tickets away for this next week, by the way. For him, I saw the trailers. I'm intrigued. But I know how these movies end. I'm kind of wary, so I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to go see it though. I will be at the screening. Michael Parsons and Jerry Jones is a bonehead. Jerry Jones, you guys need to rally outside of Texas Stadium for the trade of Jerry Jones. What the hell, dude? You couldn't make it work with the best player in the league? Best player on your team? Not your league, best player on your team? Good riddance? Who are you filling the gap with? But he does this all the time. And why didn't you do this in May? When you could have integrated those pieces into your team. Yeah, produced by Peele. All right, I feel a little better. If he's directing it, then that means I may or may not get some ending that's going to make me kick the door open out of the theater. So, Requiem of a Dream, that's banned on this show. We don't want to talk about that scene. That movie's wild, man. All right, guys, that is it. We were at the 3-hour minute and 2 minutes. It's been a rough day. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. I did an insomnia stream, so actually I had a lot of energy, but then I had to get a part from my air conditioner after the day, and it was hot, so I didn't get the kind of sleep I wanted to. And now I'm going to go home and chomp on it. Thank you, Rational, for this pizza. Thank you. That is very cool. I'm glad I made an impact on somebody's life to the point where they send me a pizza. I know I'm in good. Thank you to Zach Bynes. Now I even know your pronunciation from TalkTroma.com. Little movie perp for coming in. Well, no, actually, fuck that. You're welcome, little movie perp. No, I'm just kidding. For coming in and being the other half of the Troma trifecta, and then Brad, who I was not sure if he saw the movie. That's why I was like, you can come in later, because I didn't know if you'd seen the movie. If I'd have known that, I'd say just come on in. So, which is good. The fact that one of us saw the movie, I will see it soon. But trust me, I will probably see it several times, and I will probably see it out here in this drive-in. Especially, I've been told that it's the kind of movie that I don't have to worry about. It's got some gore and got some violence, but it's not the Troma level head bouncing off the bat. I've heard. I will have to test watch it first before I put it out on the drive-in. Listen, Micah is helping you more than Jerry is.
It has got gore galore. You're definitely gonna enjoy it.
Yeah, was it true that someone pinned that guy's lifeless body? How disgusting. Yeah, because they didn't know it. A lot of people were still in shock, which is kind of stupid, but yeah. We're winning the Super Bowl. Okay. Okie dokie. You go tell Jerry that. All right, guys, we will be back tomorrow night for our Sunday night week up. What the fuck? Sunday night weekend wrap-up show tomorrow, 10:30. And then we got stuff scheduled. I have not made a final decision about the format yet. I wanted to get the Troma show out of the way, but we got some stuff that I got to sit down and analyze and break down, and then we'll get back to you on that one. Keep an eye out for when we do these watch parties, because, like I said, I got to make room for a 3-hour movie and then a mystery.
Yeah, movie. It's probably those
Yeah, that
Those
would
are-
have been a fucking marathon.
That,
So.
those should be again lengthwise. Just on Wicked alone, we should make those individual days.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for being here. Thank you for the people who are watching, the people who will watch at a decent hour. Like, subscribe. Go subscribe to Troma Now. And that's it. Another change in the format before I go is I got to start doing more Patreon and Men Strip. Even if it's just a 10-minute post show. Not tonight because I got to get the hell out of here. But I'm going to copy a page out of Film Junkie's book and start doing a post show. It's not going to be long, but it'll be something special for the members. All right, guys. We will see you tomorrow night.
All right, see you guys.